This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we welcome you to a very special edition of the Sports Reel podcast, live here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Tim Sheridan, I'm Jason Klaus, and no, you're not mistaken. It is Sunday afternoon, and we are live streaming this across our usual network of platforms on YouTube, Facebook, and of course at our home here at Riverside.fm. We have a lot to talk about, and we're going to do it in a very special way because we're actually coming to you live from Casa de Sheridan. This is a very cool setup along with Tim Sheridan. Man, this is kind of a weird dynamic because on screen, we're on separate screens, but in reality, you're right next to me.
Yeah, no, it's fucking with me. One, because I can hear you talking, but like half a second later, I can hear you in the headphones. So it's messing with me a little bit, but this is cool. I'm excited for this. This is the first time we're doing this, which is gonna, kind of give us a test run to kick off for our live stream next week. Or next week, not I should say, well, a week and a day from now would be Monday. Is it the 30th?
Yeah.
Monday the 30th. We're gonna be live from Lightning Rounds in Lapeer, doing a live show during the Lions game up there. So it should be a blast. I'm excited for it.
It is going to be very, very cool. We're very much looking forward to being live on location. We're going to be talking about that during the duration of this broadcast here this week. We are streaming this again one more time on YouTube, on Facebook, on the PFC Entertainment Network page on Facebook, as well as Riverside.fm. If you are watching us through the Facebook feed, you can communicate with us through the live chat. It does pop up on my screen. As you can tell, our dynamic is unique because, like Tim said, we're doing kind of a test run here because we're, to kind of peel the curtain back a little bit. I got into a mood, okay? And when I get into a mood, I get motivated, and I'm like, we're just gonna start throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks, right? I sent a few emails out to see about possibly doing a live on location type of broadcast, just something that sets our show apart from everything else that we're doing here. And to my surprise, like I thought like something in the Flint area would be the first to bite, but Lightning Rounds in Lapeer was real quick to respond, and we got the ball rolling, and now it very quickly turns into our first live outing.
Yeah.
Next Monday, the 30th, during Monday Night Football, Lions and the 49ers. But before we get there, we have a big game on tap here this week. Big NFC North showdown. The Lions are in Chicago. They're there to play the Bears. This is one of the more anticipated games of the weekend, even though the Lions, they already have their ticket stamped to the playoffs. The Chicago Bears, we've talked about them at great length here on the show, but make no mistake about it, they're still very much a threat. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, any given day. I mean, are they a threat to most teams? maybe not, but it is a divisional matchup. And like we were talking on our last show, that these teams spend so much time getting ready for these divisional matchups that, I mean, both these teams know each other so well. It's not going to be a runaway game for either team. I definitely think the Lions win this one, but it's going to be a closer margin than some of their victories this year. Just it's any divisional matchup is tough. You look around any of the NFL, any of the divisional games are just tough games, except I mean, if you watch the game yesterday with the Ravens and the Steelers, that wasn't a very close game. But Ravens definitely looked good yesterday in that. But this is going to be a good game, good divisional matchup. It's in Chicago. It's probably cold as balls there right now. So we'll see how the Lions hold up in that. Historically, I think they do pretty decent on these road games. So we'll see where it goes. But I'm definitely rooting for a Lions victory and getting us one step closer to that divisional title and that first round bye that we're looking for.
Yeah, there's still a lot to play for. It's but for Detroit, we've been keeping tabs here. We've got the game on, or the pre-show right now is on in front of us. You can actually see it on one of the screens here if you're watching across our platforms. With this being our first, live, or something like this, as we're doing a real time watch along, this is very much going to be trial and error, you know what I mean? But make no mistake about it, we're very excited to sit here, break down what we're seeing. We're going to break down the rest of the NFL and other sports headlines that have come down the pike here. I know we're primarily focusing on um, football and the National Football League, and more specifically the Detroit Lions for obvious reasons. But the world of baseball, on my way over here, I learned the world of baseball lost one of its marquee players. Ricky Henderson
Yeah,
passed
I saw
away.
that yesterday.
Um, I As soon as I heard that, man, I was like, that that guy was he was a standout player.
Yeah.
He was part of an era of my childhood. I can't think, and I know he played for other teams and stuff, but I think Oakland A's. I think Ricky Henderson. I think of the impact that he made on that community. During the time that he played for them, and it's a tremendous loss for baseball. He was controversial, as most big name stars can be, but still made an indelible mark in the sport of baseball.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
We just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge that. This game being in Chicago, it's kind of it's funny for me because my girl and I had actually, talked about going to this game because uh, Friday was my last night of work for the holidays, and we had talked about going to Chicago this weekend to be, to go to this game specifically. Obviously, plans changed, and it didn't wind up working out, but. Like I had thought, it's pretty damn cold in Chicago right now.
Yeah,
So
that wouldn't be
tough.
a fun one to sit through.
No, no. I mean, I would have. It would have been cool. It would have been one of them, low key bucket lists.
Yeah.
You go to Chicago, go to Green Bay. During the dead of winter, just to say that you did it.
Yeah.
That's where the diehards, the hardcores go. If you're a real football fan, you're going to weather Chicago weather at the end of December, or Green Bay, Wisconsin, or what have you. And as the Detroit Lions are making their way out to the field here in Chicago, Soldier Field. Have you been to Soldier Field by chance?
I have not been inside, but earlier this summer we went to Chicago for the weekend and we were standing out in front of Soldier Field. So we walked right by it and then went out right in front of it. It's definitely a cool ass stadium, and it's really weird how you can just kind of, I don't know, it's just there. You just walk right up to it. It's
Right.
it's, but then again, I mean, you can with most stadiums, but it it was a trip. There's not like a ton of parking all around it that I noticed, so people like park in other places and kind of shuttle their way into it. It was cool looking field, but I wish I would have had a chance to go inside of it. But unfortunately, there was a concert going that night that I wish we would have actually knew was going on because it was a George Strait, Chris Stapleton concert.
No, no kidding.
Yeah. Like
That
if we
would've
would have
been
known that was
cool.
going on, we'd have been like, we're getting fucking tickets because we're here. And Amy and I both love Chris Stapleton. Amy loves Chris Stapleton. So it would have been a cool concert to go to and actually go into Soldier Field. But that weather right now, being that close to the water, because I don't know if people realize that like Soldier Field is like right by the lake. So
Mhm.
you're gonna get, it's chilly there. We'll see how these Lions hold up in this cold, but I think they'll do fine. They'll definitely do fine.
That's one thing that I want that they pointed out during the Fox 2 pregame show that they do every week. My dad watches it, so I was, getting my stuff all packed up to come over here today, and he had that on, and they were talking about this misconception that the Lions can't play in cold weather.
Yeah,
And then you think about how the conditions were in Green Bay
yeah.
not all that long ago.
No,
So
and we won there.
right. And
Yeah.
I'm like, look, calm the fuck down. It,
Yeah.
the Detroit and the weather here in Michigan has not been seasonal. It's been, up until the last like 2 days or so, it's been somewhat mild.
Yeah.
But I gotta believe that the coaching staff for Detroit took advantage of every possible scenario to play in inclement weather to get prepared for this game here in Chicago. Would you agree with that? I haven't seen any reports.
Well, they've been,
official.
yeah, they've actually been holding outdoor practices this week just to kind of get them prepared to in the cold. I mean, unfortunately, leading up to this, the last few days, like you said, it's been pretty mild. So those outdoor practices haven't been as cold as what it's going to be today. Obviously, today is. I don't know if you've been outside yet today in Michigan, but I know when we went grocery shopping this morning, my truck said -1.
Yeah.
So it's pretty fucking cold out today. I don't know how it is currently in Chicago. I know we were talking the other day on the podcast that it's supposed to be cold. So we'll see how it goes, but they definitely got some outdoor cold practices in to kind of prepare for it. But I'm not worried about it. They keep heaters on the sideline there to keep them warm between plays.
Right.
They'll be fine. It's not as cold as, let's say, the AFC divisional round last year with the Chiefs in Miami when it was peaking, I think -42 at points. That was an insane game to watch. But it's definitely gonna be cold. I think the Lions are gonna be fine. There's other points that worry me with the injuries that we took last week. We talked about that earlier this week with Montgomery, Carlton Davis. Big update this week with Montgomery. It looks like he's going to avoid surgery. So it looks like he's going to be able to rehab that injury and be back for the playoffs. At least, if not the first game of the playoffs. If we get that first round bye, that'll be kind of huge to kind of help him heal up a little bit longer. So he should be back for the playoffs. Carlton Davis should be back at some point in the playoffs. So we'll start seeing some of these players coming back in the playoffs, which will help out a lot. And the big news, I mean, I don't know if you've been watching, but Hutchinson, that guy's a fucking animal. He's walking. He doesn't even have a limp anymore. That guy's just walking around now. And he dead set said, you guys get to the Super Bowl, I will be there to play.
Yeah.
And watching how fast he's rehabbing, I 100% believe the guy now.
I got into a conversation at work this a couple of days ago, one of the last days of the week, about Hutchinson, and we compared him. And I know this is going to draw some degree of heat. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Those who will understand the reference will appreciate the reference. Aiden Hutchinson has that John Cena drive.
Yeah.
John Cena, listen, and as a sidebar, let me just tell you this. Anybody that dismisses John Cena just because he's a professional wrestler and not a real athlete can go fuck yourselves. If I can be honest with you, okay? because I guarantee you the shit that Cena, the shit that Tim, the shit that I took in our time as professional wrestlers, not a lot of people could withstand that for the amount of time, especially Cena on that level. But this dude endured some career-threatening injuries that had him projected to be years off from the ring. This motherfucker is coming back in 4 or 5 months' time. Aiden Hutchinson is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That is an athlete. That is a drive. That is a determination on a whole different level.
Yeah.
So it's going to be incredible if and when the Lions go to the Super Bowl, to see that dude on the sidelines, what kind of emotional attachment will that give the Detroit Lions to the rest of the country? What a storyline that would be.
Oh, that would be huge. I mean, like we were talking at the last episode, we think that he's the heart and soul of this team. And not only would it drive the fans to go crazy for him, but I think it also give an extra step to the team to see him coming back from an injury like that, just to be with them at the Super Bowl and to get out there and play. Who knows if he'll play a lot? You know, how much are the Lions willing to risk him in the Super Bowl? But he's definitely going to get some snaps in, and he's definitely going to do something. And I mean, that guy being on the sideline, all geared up, ready to go, that would be huge for this team, especially just the mentality going into it, knowing that they have their number one edge rusher in there. You know, they're going to feel invincible at that point. Actually, we're about to get the kickoff going right now.
Yep, Jake Bates is there it goes. And we are off and running here in Chicago, Illinois, Soldier Field. Real quick, I want to acknowledge Andrew jumped in on the chat here with Go Lions. Andrew, we appreciate you tuning in here. And if you are watching and have any comments or anything about what we're talking about what you're seeing in the game, you are more than welcome to join the conversation on the live chat. We can see it on my screen here. An interesting stat here in terms of this rivalry between Detroit and Chicago. The Bears have owned the Lions 8 out of the last 13 games.
Yeah.
And when you see a stat like that, it puts in perspective just how dangerous the Chicago Bears will always be against the Detroit Lions, because with the divisional rivalry, the history of this rivalry, man, this is one of the oldest running rivalries in all of the National Football League and the NFC North, with it the way that it has been this season. This is one of the marquee games that people, whether they want to or not, they look forward to a Lions Bears game.
Yeah, it's always a good matchup. It's always fun. Sometimes it ends in some weird shit, like their last matchup there that ended up getting their coach fired. You know what I mean? There's always some drama. These teams are a little heated against each other. We'll see how this one plays out. So far, it looks like the Lions defense is holding up pretty well. Kind of worried with that secondary because Caleb Williams, you know, I was talking crazy shit about him at the beginning of the season that maybe he's not the guy to carry him into the future, but he's actually had, despite their losses, a pretty decent season. And if he starts getting a little bit of maturity going, you know, I know he had some shit this season where he was calling out his team, saying he did enough to win. You know, he's blaming his defense for a loss. You know,
Right.
it's a young player being stupid. Being a quarterback, you can't do that. But he's definitely dangerous. Just like that, kind of slipping these sacks. Let him get to the outside. Nothing. A good stand right there by Detroit. You know, 3 and out. Is he a little shook up there? No, he'll be okay.
Oh man.
You know, and it's always dangerous in a situation like this too, because the Bears have nothing to play for other than just spoiling the Lions' chances of winning the North and, you know, getting that first seed. So they'll be playing hard either way, just to spoil these chances.
I was going to make mention of that also. that the Bears, I mean, their season is what it is at this point, but they do have the potential to play the role of spoiler, and what a kick in the absolute ass that would be. But we could relate all too well. Wasn't all that long ago, the Lions played the role of spoiler and actually prevented the Packers
from getting
from getting into the playoffs. You know, so I can understand why there is a need a sense of urgency, I guess, for the Bears. At least they would have something to hang their hats on, because
Yeah.
you're looking at a 4-10 record right now. The controversy, all of the dishevelment on the coaching staff. Bro, at what point? I mean, do you think that as a player you're just okay? We're done here. We're not even going to try, or are they coming in? I mean, I guess that's kind of a dumb question when you're talking about the Lions, because it is that rivalry.
Yeah.
But like I don't know who their next game is against, but I can't believe it's going to be against somebody they have as much passion against
Than the Lions. Yeah. I mean, that just goes back to the divisional matchup thing. But as you talked about that game where we spoiled the Green Bay Packers chance of getting into the playoffs that year, I do want to bring this up, as that my TV just goes out for no reason. Hopefully the internet just didn't crash. What the fuck? It looks like our phones are still there. It goes. I do have to say, during this season, we've talked a lot of shit about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's had the chance to catch. I know you said you haven't, yeah, but Aaron Rodgers has that new documentary on Netflix. I think it's called Enigma. Watch it. It was really, really good. Me and Amy watched it the other night, just banged out the whole thing in one night. Kind of made me change my mind on Rodgers a little bit. I know it made Amy change her mind on Rodgers a little bit. Kind of like the guy now. It's weird to say that because he seems really weird, but it's almost as it comes across, it's a media thing. It's almost like the media is burying him for different things. And when you hear his side of it, it's a little bit more understanding. So if you get a chance to watch it, give it a watch. It's a really good documentary. They kind of get into that game a little bit. That's why we brought that up. Because that was his last game for the Packers.
Oh yeah, it was
Yep.
too. Now, okay, it's interesting that, and we are keeping tabs on what's happening with the Lions and the Bears in Chicago here, but I mean, we're not going to focus every single second of this broadcast on what's happening. I mean, we're not announcers by any stretch of the imagination. Aaron Rodgers is one of those polarized, especially for us, one of those polarizing athletes, quarterbacks, because he spent so much time in the Green Bay Packers uniform, and there was controversy with some of the comments that he made. Nice reception there by Sam Laporta. But at the same time, it's like, man, it would take a significant undertaking from a Netflix documentary or docuseries, whatever it is, to make somebody look, because you're a diehard Lions fan.
Yeah.
I can assume that you were not the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. I never have been, and then you hear some of these off the wall comments that he's made over the last handful of years, and man, I'll tell you what, the Lions are just marching right down the field right now with St. Brown.
Yeah, they're making a run right here.
A little bit of confusion, it looks like, on the defensive line of the Bears.
Yeah.
Wide open there for St. Brown.
A lot of people give him shit because he just goes down like that, but why take the hit? You know what I mean?
I'm with you on that.
You want a long career, don't take the hits. If you got a chance to avoid a hit, just down it like that. That doesn't bother me at all. A lot of people say that he's soft because he doesn't run through those hits and try to gain more, but he's going to be with us for a very long time because of that. And Gibbs is just running all over him right now. He's taking up that spot, and it kind of shows. Everybody was worried that, like, we don't have that power back now because Montgomery's out. Gibbs is just as much of a power back as Montgomery is, and I think he's going to come out and prove it in this game. He can do everything Montgomery can do. There's not too many teams out there that had two superstar running backs like we do,
Hmm.
and for one of them to go down for a little bit, it's not that big of a deal. You know, most of the time when your superstar running back goes down, everybody's kind of at a loss because they usually only have one. We had the benefit of having two. So you're gonna see Gibbs run a lot, and then we got Craig Robinson filling in for Montgomery, off those snaps. But man, look at it, he's an animal. All right, he didn't get as much there. I thought he was gonna pop open on that thing. It was a good read by their defense. But yeah, it's getting back to Aaron Rodgers. He's my dislike for Rodgers mostly came from the fact that he played for Green Bay, and we hate Green Bay as a team. Same reason that we don't like Jordan Love now, even though Jordan Love's a great player.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna have a bright future. And as a level of a player and as a person, Jordan Love is awesome. The fact that he plays for Green Bay, I just say fuck you. But Aaron Rodgers, he no longer plays for Green Bay. A lot of the shit that he was getting was, a lot of shit twisted by the media, and I can't really hate on him because of that. Because hearing his side of it, it's more understanding. Um, Maybe I can have the chance to like him a little bit more now because he doesn't play for Green Bay and he plays for the Jets.
I was going to ask if that was going to make a difference. And number two, is he going to return to the Jets next year?
I don't know. That's up in the air. Is he gonna pull the Brett Favre as his next stop, Minnesota? You know,
Wouldn't that be something though?
it's crazy how close their careers are. Like they were going over in that, where Brett Favre was the starting quarterback and they drafted Aaron Rodgers, and Favre's like, well, I'm not going to help him at all, and all this other shit. Even though it kind of clears up in that, it sounded like there was a lot of shit going on between the two, but they always got along, and you could see that in the documentary, even though Favre wasn't as helpful. And a lot of people were shitting on Rodgers when they first drafted Jordan Love, thinking that he wasn't. Aaron Rodgers, if you watch that documentary, was arms wide open to Jordan Love. He knew that Jordan Love was put in the same position that he was, and he wasn't going to quite be as standoffish as Favre was towards him. He was very helpful in the beginning of his career. Like, you watch that, it gives you a different point of the type of person that Rodgers is. He never once shit on Jordan Love. He was as helpful as he could be. He'd have him over to the house. They'd watch video together. He would stop the video and explain to him why he was doing what he was doing. He kind of helped mold Jordan Love into what Jordan Love is now, knowing that eventually that was going to be his replacement. But he didn't want to keep that cycle going of the way that, Favre was slightly standoffish towards him when it came to the game of football, but they got along great on a personal level. Even to this day, you can see that in the documentary. But Rodgers, I mean, as much as people don't like him, he is, he's undoubtedly a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's
For sure.
he's the shit that guy's done in his career is incredible. I mean, he's the king of the Hail Mary. We've been bit by that. He's the king of the free play. That defense jumps off sides. He's gonna eat them up every time. And he's gotten so good at that. Like, the guy's a hell of a quarterback. Is his career winding down, coming to the end? I don't know. I don't know. And a lot of people are saying now that he's the whole reason that Salah's not the head coach there. But now we're starting to get, word. I was reading this article that Aaron Rodgers was a big supporter of Salah with the front office and wanted him to stay. It was the owners that were like, no, we've had enough of him, get rid of him. But Aaron Rodgers was standing up for him, saying they want. But one of the whole reasons he went to the Jets, and I hate to sound like a broken record going back to the documentary, was because Robert Saleh was the head coach. He had a lot of respect for him, and he wanted to play for him. So I think his name gets twisted a lot in the media, and they expect him to be some crazy fucker because he goes down to all these South American countries and does his ayahuasca, and does his fucking. He goes out and trips balls. But if that's what makes him find inner peace, more power to him. You know what I mean? Everybody has their things they do to get ready, and we only finished that with a field goal.
Yeah.
We were running like crazy. I missed that whole end of that.
Well, they didn't come away empty-handed. They had to settle for a field goal. Detroit up 3-0 very early in the first quarter here. The Bears are going to be taking over on offense. Last time these two met was on Thanksgiving Day, and not what I would call the Lions' best performance. They came away with a 23-20 victory in Week 13. But I'll tell you what, coming off of that loss last week with Buffalo. Okay, Jill comes in. Here, let me go ahead and share that on the screen. Jill comes in. Not going to lie, it's nice hearing someone being so nice about Aaron. Jill Bain, co-host of the new show that we have debuting this week, What the 80s, is kind of taking over for Power Tripping through the 80s for the next little bit. And also, you can hear her on Sundays on Creepy Soup. Apparently Jill is as an Aaron Rodgers fan. I didn't know that. Now I'm gonna have to rethink things, but that's
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna come across and say I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I think he's actually a good guy, and he's a great player. Never be a. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a fan a little bit. Because I sit there and say I can never be a fan of a player from another team, but there's lots of players around the NFL that I give praise to all the time, even though they're part of teams that I necessarily don't like. I say this every week with Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is so exciting to watch, but I don't wish him to win the Super Bowl because, being a big Chiefs fan too in the AFC, I can't stand Josh Allen. We'll get him in the playoffs. Speaking of the Chiefs, I don't know if anybody caught that game yesterday, but with the addition of Hollywood Brown back in that lineup, the Chiefs started to look like the Chiefs again yesterday. It was an exciting game to watch, and they had a lot of really good plays. Did we just get the turnover?
Looks like it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, that was going to lead me to my next question here. Coming off that loss in Buffalo, did Detroit come into Chicago here this week with that? This is a must-win for us.
I think they have the mentality that every game is a must-win.
How much did that loss need to happen?
I think it needed to happen to help reset them, to get them back in that, I think Dan Campbell made a statement of something that I can't remember the exact words, but it's pretty much you're eating steak and lobster. You're getting used to that, and all of a sudden you get punched in the face, and you got to eat shit, in order to get back to that mindset of that hard-nosed football again. So it was actually a good loss at a good time in the season, in a game that, come on, Gibbs, that's what I'm talking about right there. That man is a fucking animal, and I love him.
It looks like to about the 11-yard line.
Yeah. I think sometimes that team needs that reset. They need to realize, you can still get beat. It's against a really tough team in a game that didn't matter as much as these next three, being, not in the same conference. So perfect timing for a loss. We called that one way earlier on. I go back to week 6 or 7 or something. You look it up when we were talking about the rest of their schedule. That was the only game that I said they were going to lose for the rest of the season. Now, hopefully that's true. I'm hoping that I was right on that call. I made some calls about Minnesota too on what their record is going to finish out at. They've already surpassed that. Minnesota's being a pain in the ass this season. Oh, he almost gave that one up.
Jill come back in with, did you miss all my Green Bay apparel? Turns out I wasn't a Green Bay fan. I was a Rodgers fan. So does that mean you're going out and getting yourself a New York Jets jersey there, Jill?
I would hold up on that because we don't know if he's going to play for the Jets next season. You might see Rodgers in a Minnesota.
They were just talking about, with what Sam Darnold has done this season. He has really put together a pretty remarkable season for himself. JJ McCarthy, there's a lot of talk about what's going to happen when he comes back into the fold. how do you let Sam Darnold go after the season that he has here? What is your take on? Oh man,
Oh,
and
that might be it. That might be it.
That is a
That's
touchdown. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Jahmyr Gibbs. That man right there, you knew he was going to step up for
Yeah.
Montgomery in this. Those two are so fucking close.
You know, Tim, and that's what drives me nuts about. No, there are,
That might be short. I can't see the. We need to see the other line. His knees are down there. He's going to be short.
yeah, he sure the hell is. That's unfortunate.
Ah, it's all right. Just hand
you
it back
run
to
a
him.
power. You run a play here. You run.
They're going to give him another chance. It's first down. They're going to let
Yeah.
him punch it in. So what were you saying there?
Totally lost my train of thought.
It fucks with you when you're watching the game at the same time.
Because you're like, well, hold on a second. And I kind of wondered that when it happened live, but I saw that other lineman come down with the sign that it was a touchdown. I'm like, well, fuck, he saw it. He's the ref. Yeah, but
There it is. He's in clear.
Yeah.
He didn't even come down till in the end zone. I don't even know what the hell they're thinking about there. Like, he didn't even come down till he was in the end zone.
Right. This is clearly a touchdown. The Detroit Lions are going to go up.
I don't know. They haven't called it yet.
No, they haven't. They're. What the fuck just happened?
I don't
Did
know.
he not just land in the end zone?
He did. I mean, this is. What the fuck? Why didn't we challenge that last one?
Why did we not get a replay on that? If you're watching on the screen here, on the other screen on Riverside, you're seeing what we're talking about if you're not able to watch the game as we are here. But it appeared. Okay, there.
Okay, so hold on. I'm just going to call it right now. We're probably a few seconds behind. They're going to get in the end zone right here because they just heard a woo from upstairs. So watch for it.
Okay. 3rd and goal.
There it is.
There it is.
All right.
Right? I don't want to say nothing. Okay.
Okay.
They brought the graphic up. The Detroit
Lions
Lions
are up.
have taken a 9-0 lead, 10 pending the field goal here.
So I just heard Amy
Or
upstairs.
an extra point, I should
So
say.
apparently
Yeah.
we're a few seconds behind her up there on that TV. That's a fucked up thing is we don't have normal. Yeah, that's 100% a touchdown. He wasn't down until he was in. We don't have regular cable anymore, so everything's streaming.
Right.
It doesn't matter what TV you bring up at one time. Everything's going to be a few seconds off from each other.
Right.
So, like, which really messed us up on Thanksgiving because we had Thanksgiving over here, and I have TVs all over this fucking house. Like, I'm a maniac when it comes to TVs. I had it on every room in the house, and it was weird. You go upstairs, it'd be a few seconds behind. Downstairs, you go out on the back deck where everybody was smoking. I have a TV out there on the back deck. That was timeline a little bit off. I have a little, Alexa show in the kitchen. I was playing the game in there. I had it on the garage. Nothing linked up to each other like you would on normal cable. But it's better than the fucking price of cable these days. These guys are insane.
Do you have YouTube TV?
I do not.
Have you looked into that?
I know people who have it. I just don't know the exact price of it with everything that I want with it.
Okay.
So it might be something. Right now, we're running Fubo. I bought it at the beginning of the season. If you go back to the real podcast, which hopefully will be returning here soon. But you go back to that. We talked about when I got Fubo. So far, I've really liked Fubo. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I just turned my speaker down. But if you go back to that, you can hear when I ordered Fubo. So that's what I'm trying out this season. As soon as the football season over, I'll be canceling that because we don't really need it at that point until next football season or until at least the Tigers pick up, and then I figure out something else. But unfortunately, with the Tigers, you got to have Bally. So I got to look at whether or not I just want to order Bally and pay their price, or if I want to order Fubo again. But even Fubo at $91 a month, it's like, fuck, now you're getting back into like almost cable prices.
Right.
So
Bally Sports can suck a dick.
Oh,
Can
100%.
I be honest with you? Like, I am so over all of that. And look, if if I offended anybody, I apologize. But like, I am goddamn passionate. I Tim is a football guy, hardcore football guy. I am a hardcore baseball guy. And the fact that it is a struggle to see the Detroit Tigers on television is bullshit
Yeah.
on so many levels. This is America's fucking pastime. The Detroit Tigers are a chartered member of the American League, so that automatically puts them in an elite group. It should not be this much of a struggle. And Bally Sports or whoever the hell it is that just took over, all of it needs to go away.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There needs to be another outlet that comes in and says, we will take over the broadcast rights for this team. We will do it right, and we will make it accessible for all of our fans.
Especially in local markets.
For real. There should be no question about this.
Like that's what pisses me off about it. Because if I'm not wrong, too, I think the Red Wings are only Bally Sports now, too, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
They're
now
owned by the
you're
same
taking
people.
two major sports teams, in the Detroit area, and you're making it almost inaccessible to most people because there's not too many cable providers anymore that even carry Bally Sports.
Right.
Most of them are canceling out Bally Sports, and these people are wondering, how the fuck do I follow my teams? At least with the Lions, they're on Fox every
Right.
week. Sometimes they're on CBS, but both these, even people old school with the fucking rabbit ears, can get these channels.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have, people at work that don't have cable, but they're running rabbit ears and they can still watch the Lions, unless it's like a primetime game somewhere. You know what I mean? Sometimes they run into that situation. But for the most part, they can catch all the Lions games right at home.
Stat.
Yeah, 106 yards.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was an incredible stat.
Well, that just shows that even though this defense is so banged up, this defense is still solid. Everybody's worried about this defense, but it's the next man up mentality. The guys are stepping up and they're still doing their jobs.
Right.
They're filling in spots, kind of trying to get through. I'm glad to see Branch out there. I didn't know if he was going to play. I was catching the injury report. I know he was a little banged up, but Branch has been a huge part of this team this year. And he needs to stay healthy. That guy's been phenomenal this year. Him and Kirby Joseph both those safeties right there have been phenomenal for this team. The best 1-2 in the league.
And I guess we should make mention, just for, I don't know what you want to call it, but just to cover our asses, I guess, the footage you are watching on the other screen is courtesy of Fox Sports. We want to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
At least acknowledge them, They were using your footage as a basis for our broadcast, but and there's our first penalty of the game. This is the one thing that if we started seeing in the Buffalo game, these ill-timed, ill-conceived penalties that really didn't do anybody any good if you're a Detroit Lions fan or a player for that matter. But it's like, man, you got to get that shit under control.
Yeah.
If you expect to win games against the elite teams, because when you keep shooting yourselves in the foot, well, I mean, what the fuck are we doing right now? DeAndre Swift.
He was a good piece of our team.
He
But
really was.
and I was worried when they got rid of him and they brought in Montgomery because I didn't know what Montgomery was going to be. But 100%, I mean, you got to trust Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. That was the right decision to pair up David Montgomery and then drafting Jahmyr Gibbs. Like that duo has been phenomenal coming in for us. But I mean, even our last duo, we had Swift and Williams. They were dangerous too.
Yeah.
Not quite as dangerous, but they were both fair too. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that duo at all.
Well, a little bit of a history lesson with the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions as
Ball's
that
out.
ball popped out, and I think Detroit's got it. We're going to hold on here just a minute. Yep, Detroit's got it. Detroit ball.
Second turnover of the day. Just keep eating them up.
You were saying something about a lack of defense.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying the defense is holding together. Like everybody's worried about that. He wasn't down either. We got to watch that other knee before that ball comes out. But I think that's a turnover.
Caleb Williams certainly believes that it is from his vantage point.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge turnover for the Detroit Lions as they go to break. Let me give you a little bit of a history lesson with the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. Pardon me. The very first game, the Lions were actually known as the Portsmouth Spartans. Back on October the 22nd, 1930, that would be their first game against the Chicago Bears. They would win 7-6. Now, they would become the Detroit Lions in 1934. And on Thursday, November the 29th, which you gotta believe was Thanksgiving Day, the Lions, as the Lions, would lose to the Bears 16-19. A little bit of history for you. All time, the Bears lead the series 105-79 to 5 draws or ties, as it were. So that just goes to show you that stat right there. Just goes to show you how long Lions Bears have been an
playing each other.
institution
Yeah.
in the National Football League. Incredible. A little bit of fun fact, a little bit of fun history for you. I wish there was a website that had just like that's all that it was. You got to really do some digging here. Oh, let's see what Wikipedia has to say
About their mat. You know, I like Wikipedia, but sometimes Wikipedia can get a little crazy because anybody can update Wikipedia.
Right.
You know, sometimes there's some wild shit on Wikipedia.
This is fucking funny. Sorry to interrupt, but it will soon be too late to help us in our fundraiser. Please donate $2.75. Oh, that's rich. Okay, we just mentioned the all-time meetings. Our all-time series, Bears has a 105-79 advantage. Largest victory, the Bears over the Lions, 49-0, and then Bears 49-0 in 1941. In 1968, the Lions won 42-0.
Maybe they can do that again today. They're already up 10-0. They got the ball back right now.
Yep, it's still with 3.5 minutes left to play in the first here. The largest win streak, the Bears had an 11-game win streak from 46 to 51. The Lions had a 6-game win streak twice, 68 to 70, and again in 2013 to 2015. Current win streak, Lions 1-0. That's fun.
They've always been a tough matchup for us. This team is so fucking good this year, and that's what I'm saying. People are having falling off the rails when they lost to Buffalo, and it's like, come on, Gibbs.
There he is.
People are falling off the rails when they lost to Buffalo, and it's like just chill the fuck out. Like seriously, just settle down. It's gonna be okay. Like this team is still damn good. It's time to relax. It's time to just let this team eat, and they're going to continue doing it. Everybody's stepping up when they need to step up, and they're still, in my opinion, the best offense in the NFL, and that defense still has the ability to slow these guys down. The matchup with the Bills has always been one of their bad matchups. Anytime when you get come on, Gibbs. Look at that boy just go. He doesn't go down. He's stepping up. He's taking. It's like he's putting himself in Montgomery's shoes. That was just a hard run. Ain't gonna stop. Let's go. They're gonna let this guy go off today. That's Barry Sanders-esque right there. You know what I mean? That little spin move, pull out of it. I mean, look at that. That's flashbacks to Barry right there.
Yeah, for sure. We want to say thank you to those who are tuning in here on the Facebook feed. According to our calculations, We are also streaming this live on our YouTube channel as well as Riverside.fm. If you like to be a part of the conversation, you can join the live chat if you go through the PFC Entertainment Network page on Facebook and correspond on the live chat through there. It does pop up on my screen here. We can correspond with you as we go along here. The Lions with a 10-0 lead right now. In the latter part of the first quarter, they are playing in Soldier Field in Chicago. I didn't see the weather report that at official game time. Did you happen to catch that by chance?
I did not, but I'm imagining it is cold. It's Chicago. I mean, I can see them breathing
Yeah.
but they're holding up well. Jared Goff talks about, like, on these cold games how he wears gloves, and he says he feels like he's more accurate with gloves on. I don't know how true that is, but I mean, he's just overall, Jared Goff's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league this year. He's having a standout year. If Josh Allen wasn't having the year that he was having, I think he'd be a front runner for MVP, but it's hard to argue that Josh Allen isn't having a career year this year.
Right.
That guy's been phenomenal. It's still, there's still, sorry, I stopped for a second. There's still some time left in this season, so let's see what happens. I don't know where they just ended up at, but is it in field goal range? Yeah, that should be in field goal range. We got Jake Bates. What a story that is.
You know, that kid is one of those true dreams that come true type of scenario.
Yeah.
The 18, 19, 20 months ago, the dude was selling bricks in Texas. And now here he is as a crucial and a key member of the success of this team. You know, I told you, I think I told you on an earlier episode of the podcast, and he puts one up here. It's going a 34-yard attempt. It is now 13-0 Detroit over the Chicago Bears. He nailed like a 56-yard field goal playing for the Michigan Panthers.
Actually, I think it was like 60 something. I think it was like a 65-yard field goal
in Ford Field.
Yeah.
He was playing for the Michigan Panthers for the UFL, which was, of course, the merger between XFL and
the USFL.
The USFL, yeah, owned by Dwayne Johnson, who we know as The Rock.
How successful is that guy?
Yeah, that's a whole nother sidebar we could go on. There may be time here during this broadcast. We can break that down a little bit because another success story. This dude had 7, and we'll get to that later on. But Jake Bates, selling bricks 1 minute, next minute he's playing for the Michigan Panthers, getting some sort of attention, and now here he is. Nailing field goals for the Detroit Lions, a very successful, very crucial part of the storyline.
At a high percentage rate too. I think one of the highest in the NFL. That guy's been undeniably almost perfect this season, and that's what we were looking for. We didn't have that last year. That would have made the biggest difference, especially in the NFC Championship game, if we had a kicker like Jake Bates last year. We could have kicked a few of those field goals and probably won that game because we only lost that game, I think, by 3 points.
Right.
There were so many chances that, we were looking at, 50, 52-yard field goals, but I think we had Badgley at the time, and he just wasn't consistent at those yardages. So you couldn't count on that. But now we have a kicker that, you wouldn't be worried to send him out there to kick a 60-yarder, even a 62-yarder, especially if it's in a place like Ford Field where it's inside. You're not having the wind that's causing you issues. You're going to let them go after those. I think that's going to be a big difference in the postseason, especially if we can just keep winning and we have the advantage of home field advantage throughout the postseason. Detroit's really hard to beat at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they're really hard to beat. Actually, their best record, they're undefeated on the road this year. They've only been beat at home so far this year.
Is that right?
Yeah. They got beat by Tampa Bay at home. They got beat by Buffalo at home, but they are undefeated on the road.
Bro, it wasn't all that long ago. They had a 20-something game losing streak on the road.
Yeah.
and to hear that, like that's one of those low key stats where that just kind of slips under the radar. You're like, that's significant.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
You don't even realize how huge that, because it's so hard to win on the road. I mean, you look at the opposite side of that. The Chiefs went undefeated this season at home. They've lost once on the road. So it's kind of the swap, but that's when you can win on the road at a high percentage like that. That's huge.
Right.
There's not too many teams that can go out and do that. Most people, when they lose on the road. Or you swap that and you go to Dallas. I don't even know if Dallas has won at home this year.
I think they won on Thanksgiving, did they not?
I think they did. Yeah, so they might
Yeah,
have
that
one
would have been,
win
yeah,
at
I
home
think they
this
got
season.
one win at home. Let's pull up that stat real quick, just for shits and giggles, while they're in a commercial break. The Dallas Cowboys, they have been under a microscope this year. Pulling up the record here for the Dallas Cowboys. Stand by. But this is a team that at one point was called America's team. And now the argument can be, and we said it on the last episode, of all people, Jim Nantz, who is a respected broadcaster for the CBS NFL team, went on record and said, America's team is going to be the team that wins between the Detroit Lions and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Now the Dallas Cowboys are in a situation where they are, from everybody not within the organization, is in a panic mode. But if you ask Jerry Jones, it's like, okay, we have a problem, but it's not as big as what you people are making it out to be. Well, number one, who the fuck is us people, other than we're the ones who are watching what you're putting out on the fucking field.
Yeah.
What you're putting out on the field is dog shit. This is not, and I've never been a Dallas Cowboys fan in it, but at the same time, you cannot, under any circumstances, call yourself America's team when you are in the situation that you are now. I believe it is the Detroit Lions, and you can make a statement for the Buffalo Bills. I have to be objective about it. Obviously, I'm going to go with the Lions because this is what I've been waiting for my entire life as a Lions fan.
Yeah.
Call me whatever, but here's the other thing, and Tim's the same way. We are not those kind of fans that are going to immediately hop off the bandwagon the first time something doesn't go right or they do suffer a loss. This is the National fucking Football League. Anybody that goes into this thing thinking, well, we're going to go undefeated, you're not being realistic. You can be optimistic.
Yeah.
You obviously, everybody wants to be undefeated. They want to be that team that matches the 72 Dolphins. Well, at this point, it would be even a greater feat with the extended schedule. But we're going to lose games.
Yeah.
You're going to have to understand that is how this game is played. I'd rather lose in week 14 than lose in the NFC Championship game. Or the Super Bowl. I know I went off on a sidebar there, and I do apologize, but
No, you're fine.
Oh yeah, it was the Giants. They beat the Giants 27-20
Oh, that's not too hard.
on Thanksgiving. That was only three games ago.
Holding. Yeah, 3 games ago. What are their? Are they 4 and?
Well, 6 and 8.
Oh, they're doing like I haven't even been paying too much attention to them.
They did. Okay, so they won.
Washington. I mean, that's a tough matchup to beat.
Yeah.
Washington. They won. I mean, Carolina. Actually, give all credit to Carolina. I know you're a little bit of a Carolina fan over here.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina has some talent on that team, and they've been playing teams real tough.
Right.
Especially towards the end of this season. give all credit to them. Do I think that's going to lead to anything next season? Probably not. They have bigger issues to deal with. Come on, tackle him. Good job.
Oh, they do have. They are on Sunday Night Football tonight on NBC against. They are home. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming in to Dallas.
This could be a real tough matchup for them. The
Yeah.
Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield's balling out this year. He looks really good, just like he did last year. Good chance that's going to be another playoff team this year. One of the only teams to defeat Detroit this year. So
It is not an easy road for the Cowboys as they wind down the season here. They've got Tampa Bay tonight, and then next week is Philadelphia at Philadelphia.
yeah, they're going to lose that one.
And then they are home on January the 5th against the Washington Commanders. You know, the Dallas Cowboys are still on the bubble as you know, we're looking at the playoffs and how they're starting to take shape here. We know what it's Detroit, we know it's Minnesota, and Philadelphia are locked in for the playoffs for the NFC side.
Yeah, I think every other spot is still open.
Mm-hmm. As you know, coming into this weekend, yes, sir.
I think last night the Ravens secured their playoff spot with their win last night. So on the AFC side, I know you have the Bills, you have the Chiefs, and I think the Ravens. So far, I think they're the only ones that secured their spots in the playoffs on the AFC. I could be a little bit wrong on that. There might be a couple more because every week you're going to start seeing more securing those spots.
Right.
But I know for sure the Ravens. Steelers had a chance to win their division last night, and they lost that game against the Ravens.
Trying to pull up what the okay. Guess we'll just go to the old standby. Now, as a sidebar, can I tell you? Can you? This Super Bowl logo, Super Bowl 59, is dog shit. If I can. I can be honest with you. Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans, and Ravens for the AFC.
Okay, so the Texans have secured now too.
Yes, sir.
Dangerous teams, man. Real dangerous teams.
And on the NFC, there are still 4 available playoff spots with the Lions, Eagles, and Vikings.
It just shows you how tough the NFC is this year. That we're this late in the season and there's still 4 available spots.
Chargers and Broncos are still in the hunt. And on the bubble, we've got the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals all at 6 and 8 coming into the weekend.
The Bengals would have to win out, and then somebody else is going to need to take a couple losses in order for them to make it. They can still do it. That's another dangerous team that I don't want to see for the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Okay.
There's a lot of quarterback. You know, like I think the toughest teams this year in the NFC, but I think the best quarterbacks are in the AFC. To be honest, if you're talking about one of Mahomes, you're talking about Josh Allen, you're talking about a CJ Stroud. These guys are all amazing quarterbacks. You know, like high output, just insane quarterbacks that really know the game. Gibbs just does not quit here. Easy first down. I thought he was going to take a loss there. So I'm getting notifications for fantasy.
Oh,
Looks like the Rams just scored in their game. The Rams is another team that's been hot lately that like you worry about in a playoff picture if they make it, having to play them again in the playoffs. We've already beat them the last 2 outings in case we'd have to play them, you know what I mean? And I don't think, it comes down to if it's in Detroit, Stafford can't win in Detroit, so that'd be the place for it. Big pass. Oh yeah, come on! That's huge.
that's a touchdown. Jamison Williams.
And that's why we drafted him right there. Is that speed to build that breakaway speed to get out in front. He just braced past his defender right past the safety.
Damn.
They can't even catch him. He's gone.
Man, what a play.
When you have a team like this that can beat you at the run, that is the most dangerous at these short yardage passes out of the play action, these slot passes, and then you still have the ability to go over the top and beat them like that. Like that's why this is the number one offense in the league. They're unstoppable, and I mean there's no denying it. The Lions have the number one offense this season. The number two is the Bills, and that was the matchup that we just saw this past weekend. Uh, but that's why they're so dangerous this year. This offense is so explosive. It kind of reminds me of watching the Chiefs from like 3-4 years ago and how explosive that offense was. That is now the Detroit Lions.
What a play. 12 minutes, 49 seconds left in the second quarter. The Detroit Lions are up 20-0 in Chicago against the Bears. In the hunt still for the NFC side, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Rams, Green Bay Packers, and the Washington Commanders. Interesting enough, they do the Packers. It seems like they, based on who they've got coming up in their schedule, Yahoo Sports has predicted that with a loss, the Packers would still have a 99% chance of making the playoffs. If they win, they have a 99% chance of making the playoffs.
Their record's really good. They're probably going to make the playoffs no problem. Which is we were talking about this the last time was, having three teams from the NFC North make up the playoffs this season. That's rare territory there, and it's pretty cool. It shows that the NFC North is the toughest division in football, with the Lions still leading the NFC North. I know we have a tied record with Minnesota at this point, but we do hold that tiebreaker. So,
even though they're on the bubble, we got the Seahawks, Falcons, Cardinals, 49ers, Cowboys. If they win, it's a 1% chance. If they lose, it's a 1% chance. Not looking very favorable for the Dallas Cowboys.
and look at the Saints down there at 13. Look how hot they started this year.
Yeah.
Like we saw the first few games of this year and said this is a dangerous team, and then it just fell off. But when we started this out at the beginning of the season, we said we were gonna have to wait till week 8, week 9 to be able to see what these teams are gonna be. And it just shows how much of a difference between a hot start to fizzling out, to where they're at the bottom of the pack there. Unfortunately, the Panthers aren't going to make the playoffs for you this year.
No, I've already kind of conceded to that. That's what happens when you're a Carolina fan. It is what it is, as they say. All right, where are we at right now?
Yeah, what's the Rams score right now?
The Rams. 6-6.
Oh, so they must have missed the extra point.
Let's run down some other scores right now. In the second quarter, the Falcons have a 9-7 lead over the Giants. The Panthers have a 13-3 lead over the Cardinals. Of course, Detroit is up on Chicago here as we're covering that live. Titans and Colts are tied at 7. Rams and Jets tied at 6. Eagles with a 21-7 lead over Washington. And the Bengals with a 7-0 lead over the Browns. And then coming up later on at the 4 o'clock games, we've got Minnesota at Seattle, the Patriots at Buffalo, Jacksonville will be in Las Vegas, and San Francisco, who we're going to be seeing next week, will be in Miami. And then the Buccaneers and Cowboys tonight on Thursday Night Football, and the Saints and Packers on Monday night. For Monday Night Football, and then that will bring us to next Monday night, for our live outing at Lightning Rounds in Lapeer, Michigan, starting at 8 p.m. Come on out, have some awesome food, watch some football, come hang out with us, be a part of the show if you want. We're going to be broadcasting live, and we're very much looking forward to that. More on that in the coming moments here on this broadcast. We are live streaming this again on Riverside.fm, Facebook, and YouTube. Tim Sheridan, Jason Klaus, you're watching the Sports Reel podcast live here on the PFC Entertainment Network.
I think this will be officially our longest show too. So we'll see how this
Yep,
turns
we're at 1 hour and 11 minutes at this point. We're covering this right now. There's 12 minutes left in the first half. What we will probably do is we will also take a little bit of a break during halftime so we can get out, stretch our legs, that type of thing.
We're gonna leave the show running.
We will leave it running. We'll put a graphic up, and so we'll come back in for the second half.
Yeah, because I know we got sandwiches upstairs that we can get into. So.
Oh shit, there's sandwiches.
I mean, they're not much, but we picked up some sandwiches just to snack on because I knew I was going to need something to fill my belly because I watch football and drink a lot of beer, especially when I record. I drink a lot of beer. I'm about to open up number 4 here in a minute. So
Yeah, well, you knocked one out right before we went live on here, so I was like, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, how much of a change, like the whole thing centers around him, right?
Yeah.
This whole turnaround, it's got to start with him.
It's the mentality of the team. When you have a coach that the team respects that much, you know, a former player, a guy who understands what it's like to play in this league. What the fuck was that?
Not only knows how to play or knows what it was like to be a player. This dude was part of the 0-16
Yeah,
team.
so he knows what it's like to eat shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like literally just eat shit. He knows what it's like to play. And when you have a former player like that, you know, and he's made up a coaching staff of pretty much all former players, you know, and the people who understand this game, who have been, you know, played this game, know the shit that the players go through, understand it from their side, and somebody of the players who can get behind. I mean, he is the perfect model of a coach, what you'd want them to be, you know. And I mean, these guys play so hard for him. There's no quit in this team, and it all starts out with Dan Campbell.
Oh,
I don't think without Dan Campbell we wouldn't be where we are today. And I, you know, to say that without Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That pair right there, you got the mind of Brad Holmes when it comes to football, understanding the thing, and the openness. I mean, if you ever watch the drafts, you know, and how much they communicate with each other, to where Dan Campbell goes, "This is what I need," or "This is who I need." You know, Brad Holmes is like 100%. Let's get him. You know what I mean? Like I trust you. There's so much trust between those two that you're gonna have. That office is ran so well, and that's what teams like Chicago's missing. You know, when you got a front office that doesn't run well, you can see it in the production of the team. You're 4-10. You have so much fucking talent. That team is so talented. They could be so dangerous, but when you don't have the coaching, you don't. Oh, I guess we got sandwiches now.
Oh, look at this. How phenomenal.
We got food. Hello, love. Do you want to jump on?
You want to say hi? Well, come on. You can actually use this microphone right here.
Grab a seat on my lap, honey.
Well, we're being joined by Amy Sheridan, who you see or hear on the Real podcast. That's going to be making its return here very, very shortly.
Good stop right there.
Good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm super excited to be here. This game is amazing.
Yeah, we're off to a great start here this week with the Lions up 20-0 against the Chicago Bears, and we've been talking off and on. Big live event next Monday over at Lightning Rounds in Lapeer. I know you of all people what are appreciating this opportunity that Tim and I have as a part of Monday Night Football when the Lions will be in San Francisco to play the 49ers. Do you have a prediction?
I mean, the Lions. Come on. Yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. I'm probably super loud because, I'm holding the mic up like this. So yeah, like obviously I think that the Lions are gonna win. I'm super excited to have it at Lightning Rounds. For those of you that haven't been to Lightning Rounds, it's amazing. Um, it's got they got like really good drinks, really good food. It's just a really awesome atmosphere all the way around. And yeah, I'm so excited for it.
You gonna be there?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
I think I'm busy that
Yeah.
day. Look,
Terrible.
look, it's been a minute. You know what I mean?
Right.
I haven't seen you in a minute, so I got to play catch up here.
I know, I know. I can't wait till we come back after the holidays. Yeah, it's been crazy busy.
It's stupid.
It
Shit's
is.
just so stupid
I know.
nowadays. You know, we'll talk about it when we come back here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But all right, I just delivered the boys their sandwiches and all the stuff, so I will catch you guys later.
We'll see you. We'll probably come up at halftime for a little bit, so
For a moment.
it won't go anywhere. Don't worry.
I know. I'm like, I just bumped something. I thought it was gonna fall. I see them.
Get out of here.
There's nothing to see here. Thank you, Amy Sheridan, host of the Real Podcast.
Snooping at her Christmas gifts.
That's just for, they're just props.
Yeah.
They're empty boxes. Calm the fuck down.
That's why I actually like having my own little room down here, is I get to wrap all my shit down here and hide it down here.
Yeah.
Not that it's very hidden, obviously, because she just found them.
Do you do your own wrapping?
Yeah, I do. Unfortunately, I'm not super good at it, but I make it work.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna have her wrap her own shit.
Well,
Yeah.
well, right. But I didn't know,
If I paid somebody to do it.
Yeah. Or just have one of the kids do it. You know, I could see where that would be a thing.
Well, unfortunately, the only kid that we have left at home is Chase, and I don't see me getting him to be able to wrap them.
Oh man. We've been talking about it. We'll mention it throughout the course of this broadcast. We are going to be live on location next Monday. I keep wanting to say September. I don't know why.
Yeah, let's jump farther into the year.
Yeah. December 30th, New Year's Eve, if you can believe it. We're going to be at Lightning Rounds in Lapeer, Michigan, 266 Lake Nipissing Road, just over the railroad tracks. Very cool atmosphere and very successful, very cool owners. We're looking forward to being a part of that, and it is part of Monday Night Football when the Lions will be traveling all the way to San Francisco to play the 49ers. So it's kind of a cool, sidebar to our first live outing where it is a Monday night appearance for the Detroit Lions. Used to be, man, that was a big damn deal. Like that was the highlight of the season, regardless of how the record shaped up. If the Lions made it on Monday night, man, they previewed that shit in the local markets for weeks to come.
Yeah.
It was must-see TV. It was also cool when it was played at the Silverdome. Because the Silverdome just, anybody who knows me knows I have a weird fascination with venues, stadiums, arenas, this type of thing, especially those that are unique or hold significant historical significance. Pontiac Silverdome. I'm still pissed off they tore it down. I'm just as pissed off about that as them tearing down Old Tiger Stadium.
Yeah. Or the Palace.
Or the Palace. There was no reason to bring the Palace down.
No.
I just watched, you said something about that Aaron Rodgers thing on Netflix. I watched
You watched the one of the Pistons with the
Malice at the Palace.
Yeah, the Malice at the Palace.
And the final scene of that was them imploding the skeleton of the Palace of Auburn Hills. And I still don't understand why we did that. Why did they do that?
I
That
don't know.
building was only 25 years
And
old.
it was still beautiful.
Yeah.
And when you go to, like, I understand the Pistons moving down to the city, that's one thing. Actually having the Pistons play in the city, because if you're not from the area, you understand that no, Auburn Hills isn't technically Detroit. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, to have the teams outside of the city is a little strange to have them all up in Auburn Hills. That's actually closer to us in Lapeer. It was only a 25-minute drive down to the Palace.
Right.
But concerts there, that's what I miss most of all. The acoustics in the Palace were phenomenal. And we've been to so many concerts at the Palace, and now we've had the chance to actually go to concerts at LCA where the Pistons and the Red Wings now play. The acoustics there aren't very good. So I miss the Palace for that. I think they literally could have kept it open as a concert venue, or bring other types of shows to the Palace. But they
Like
could,
us.
yeah. I mean, we could fill that arena.
Why not?
Yeah. Wishful thinking, or just even wrestling shows. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
wrestling shows. You could have brought the UFC, even though I think Michigan with the UFC has weird rules. That's why they don't come here. But they could try to change that to try to get that type of thing. That's something that brings a lot of good stuff right there. To bring a lot of money into the area. But the Palace, to see the Palace go was sad. To see the Silver Dome go was sad. The last thing I went to the Silver Dome was I think a monster truck show. That place was still cool. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but I mean, I understand the teams moving to the city. Ford Field is amazing also. Um, all the stadiums down there are amazing. It's just, I miss that acoustics of the Palace. So that's my biggest false start. That's the one thing I've been seeing. Chicago's been getting eaten by penalties, holdings, false starts.
Yeah.
I haven't seen too many penalties go against us yet.
All right. Eric Cherry, I believe. Yep. Sheila Ford leaving the football stuff up to the football guys is a big reason for our success.
100%.
Thank you for chiming in with that, Eric. We appreciate you being a part of the conversation.
100% there. I agree with that 100%. And that's the problem with the Cowboys right now.
Yeah.
Is, Jerry Jones not trusting his staff to be able to make those important decisions. And that's why, that's the success of the Lions right now. That's, the downfall of a team like Chicago, not letting, the coaching staff and everything else. It's that front office. You got really talented teams that are being hindered by their front offices or / owners.
This is the Chicago Bears' first trip to the red zone today, and it happens with 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Just goes to show you what kind of day they've had so far.
And I mean, that's showing you also Detroit's defense, and even with all the injuries, how well the guys who've been put in those spots to fill those spots have been standing up. Terrion Arnold, right there, we just saw him on the screen. Little shaky start to the season, a lot of penalties. Young player, I said as the season went along, he was going to start falling into that role a little bit better, start figuring it out, which he has, like 100%. He's been very, very good for us. Probably the best safety duo in the NFL. Linebackers are a little beat up right now. He's going to be a little short there. Swift's another really good running back. I've always liked DeAndre Swift. Drafted by the Lions, played many years here. Went and played for Philadelphia, and then now with Chicago. He's a good running back. But this defense is still standing up, and we're going to be getting pieces back. Anzalone will be back soon. Melifonwu should be back. I don't know. I didn't see if he was activated for this game or not, but we'll be getting these pieces back. Lee McNeil lost for the season. That was a big loss for us. There you go. They finally got themselves a touchdown. That'll go good for Amy. Oh no, she dropped Cole Komet. That's right. She's got Tucker Kraft from Green Bay now in fantasy. So never mind. That's not so good.
Okay.
But that gives us a chance to get the ball back down and run back down and score again. That's the thing with the Lions this year is a lot of the time they don't slow down. They just fucking go. Like literally just go. Balls on the wall and just keep scoring until the game's over. And that's the mentality you need sometimes. Screw sitting there trying to control the clock and sitting there trying to control the game. Just keep scoring. If you just keep scoring, the other team can't fucking catch you.
Well, they inched a little bit closer. Now it's 20-7 with 6 and some change left to play in the first half in Chicago. Pretty dominant so far by the Detroit Lions so far, but the first trip to the red zone does equal a touchdown here for the Bears. I can understand why there's a degree of excitement, but at the same time, the Bears, this is where if you don't put your foot on their throat, this is the kind of spark that often triggers
It
a
could.
resurgence.
It definitely could. But now this is where you just need to step and go back down and put another one in.
Right.
Like right away. Just don't slow down. Just keep scoring. Because as soon as you start slowing down on a team like this, you will give them the momentum and they will come right back to us. And they'll be right back in this game. So just don't give them the chance to get back in this game. And Detroit's been really good at doing that this year. Just keeping it just out of the reach. And that's what you need to do. And that's the big thing. I think that's Dan Campbell mentality too, is just take it out of the hands of the other team, take it out of the hands of the ref, just keep scoring. Make it to where you can't get screwed over. I mean, we've had a history of that in Detroit. So many times that we've lost games getting screwed over by bad calls or, by stupid shit that we should have won that game. Now it's just take that all out of it and just make sure you can't get screwed just by scoring. And that's why Detroit right now is still leading the NFL with the highest point differential in the league. Nobody's even close to them.
Right.
Like they are outscoring their opponents at a higher rate than any other team in the NFL this year. And they when you listen to a lot of experts, they factor that a lot into how they pick a Super Bowl winner is by having the highest point differential, because they say, if you don't have a point differential of a certain amount, there's no chance of you winning the Super Bowl. Well, the Chiefs proved that wrong last year, because the Chiefs last year had a very similar year to they're having this year. You know what I mean? They're not super good yet. I think yesterday's game was a sign of what the Chiefs are starting to become with the return of Hollywood Brown. Now they got a lot of dangerous weapons at receiver. And I don't know if there's a chance of Rashee Rice coming back this season, but if he comes back, they're going to get real dangerous real quick. Their backfield now they have Kareem Hunt, they have Isaiah Pacheco. They have a hell of a 1-2 punch back there now. And P. Ryan has been stepping up. That guy's been unbelievable, especially as a receiving back. Very dangerous team right now. Defense, one of the best in the league. So that's a team that I think would be a very exciting game for the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people are hoping for a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, which would be awesome. I just don't know if the Bills have enough to get past the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Right.
Historically, Josh Allen does not do well against the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Sorry, I just had an idea for a new graphic, and I figured, well, now's as good a time as any.
Here goes Gibbs again.
20-7, the Lions are leading here over the Chicago Bears. Real quick, I want to look right back and see what's happening with the other games here. It looks like the Eagles have jumped up 21-7 over the Commanders in Washington, by the way. Rams and Jets are still tied. Colts and Titans are still tied. 13-3, the Panthers are now up over the Cardinals. That makes me happy.
I like to see them win anytime. I'm always that underdog guy.
Yeah.
especially against teams that it doesn't really matter what the hell happens in that game. You know what I mean? But it's cool to see them win. Bryce Young's a good young talent down there. He just needs a little bit of momentum at his side, and build a little confidence in that position.
Other scores earlier in the week here for the NFL.
Okay,
Thursday
come
night,
back
we
on.
saw the Chargers with a 34-27 win over the Broncos. And then yesterday, Saturday, Chiefs 27-19 over the Texans, and then Ravens, big win. We talked about this a little bit earlier. The Ravens with a 34-17 win over Pittsburgh. I gotta be honest with you. I was really pulling for Pittsburgh and that to wrap up the AFC North. That did not happen,
Well, I
unfortunately.
was
But
too because I wanted to see him at least knock the Ravens back down a little bit because the Ravens worry me more than Pittsburgh does. Just on the AFC side, I know I get confusing because I start talking about the AFC, but little people know I am a Chiefs fan also. So, I have a team that I support from each conference. So I look at it from both ways. I'm looking at the NFC side for the Lions, and I look at the AFC side for the Chiefs.
as I refresh the page here are the immediate updates. Atlanta 17-7 over the Giants. The Giants, Tim. That's just one of those teams that was thought to be one. They've been one of the more powerhouse teams in the NFL. They're also one of these teams that when they don't do well, like they are under the microscope,
Yeah.
much like
The
the Dallas
Dallas
Cowboys,
Cowboys.
right? So
Well, because they had so much success, during the Manning years with them.
they're down 17-7 with against the Atlanta Falcons. The Giants, though, in terms of their what have you been paying attention to them at all? What do they have to do to turn shit around in New York to make this the dominant team in the market? Because right now there was so much attention on Aaron Rodgers coming in for the Jets that the Jets were going to become the team in the New York market. You look at Jets, Giants, I compare it to Yankees, Mets, where so much of the focus is on the Giants
Yeah.
for the NFL because of the success. You have little brother or the cousin or whatever, however the fuck it is you want to correlate that, but the Jets are trying to reestablish an identity in a very saturated market that is dominated by New York and Buffalo to some degree. But what do the Giants have to do to turn shit around to become a powerhouse team again?
It's front office shit. It literally comes down to the front office. They make bad decisions. They draft bad. I mean, you go back and you watch what they did with Saquon Barkley. They pretty much just let him walk to a divisional competitor, just for nothing, pretty much. They had him wrapped up. He wanted to stay there. Decisions like that, and he goes off this year, and he's also an MVP contender this year. That guy's having a career year. Will probably break the all-time rushing record this season. Saquon Barkley for Philly has been an absolute animal. But it's front office shit again. Sometimes you need to blow up these front offices to get successful again. And that's another team that needs to do it. You got the Giants, probably have Carolina, you got Chicago, Dallas. All these teams need to blow up the front offices and just get it. That was a big penalty for us right there that went our way. End up giving us first down. It looked like an offsides.
Well, we're at the 2-minute warning here in the first quarter of this game. The Lions are up 20-7 in Chicago. Let me do a real quick refresh on these other scores that are happening right now in the NFL. week 16, if you can believe it.
It's coming down quick.
It really is,
We
man.
got 2 more weeks after this one before playoffs start. We'll have wild card rounds.
17-7 Atlanta over in the Giants. 20-10 Carolina leading the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, Lions up 20-7 over the Bears. Indianapolis has jumped out to a 17-7 lead over the Titans.
No surprise there.
Yeah.
Titans are bottom of the barrel this year too. They've let most of their talent go.
The Jets and Rams are at the halftime. The Jets leading 9-6. Tim, big old barn burner over there.
That's not good for me.
At
I'm gonna
East
be honest with you.
Rutherford.
This year, I am in the semifinals of my fantasy league this week, and I was like, I can't trust Mahomes right now, even though I should have because he had a great game yesterday. I was like, and I can't trust Sam Darnold because he's just been like, when it comes to fantasy points, hasn't been the greatest. So I'm like, I'm gonna pick up Matthew Stafford. He's playing for something this week. To hear that they're only at 6, I don't even want to look at my fantasy points. I'm getting knocked the fuck out this week. My week's done. Luckily, Amy's been a powerhouse this year, so hopefully Amy can go out and win it all and just keep the money in our household. Counting on her. Her first year playing fantasy, and she is murdering everybody. Yeah, she's just killing it. Like, she's been phenomenal. Even Chase this year, his first year, he was phenomenal. He went to the first round of the playoffs. He got knocked out last week. His guys kind of shit the bed last week, but great first year for him, especially in a larger league. We have 10 people in this league, so it becomes harder to draft. You got to be smarter with your drafts, be smarter with your picks because there's not as many available players. So you're trying to find those pieces to fill in with these, second string wide receivers, third string wide receivers. Or I wouldn't say second string or third string, but not your number 1 receiver. You're looking at your number 2 target, your number 3 target. You're trying to find these matchups that work really well. And Amy's been phenomenal and has been a complete standout this year in that category. There goes JMO again. I mean, they're going to run this in and punch it in again. That should put them at the 8-yard line. They're doing exactly what I thought that they should do. Run this thing back down, score again, take an even more commanding lead at the half. And they need to come out after the half and just keep running this. Just keep scoring. Take Chicago right out of this. Don't give them a chance because as soon as you open up the door for them, they're going to step right through it.
Yeah.
So you just got to make sure you don't open that door.
We want to thank those who are tuning in to the live stream here, whether you're watching us through YouTube, Riverside.fm, or Facebook. We're coming down to the final couple minutes here of the first half. Holy shit.
Yeah. They're getting angry.
Yeah, they are. This is where we're going to start seeing that smash mouth mentality, right? I mean, this has become accustomed to Chicago, Detroit games. This is one of, when you talk about the rivalries in the NFL, Tim, the Lions have a unique split history with both the Packers and the Chicago Bears. What are the other rivalries in the NFL that when those games are on the docket, you're like, this is going to be must-see TV.
I mean, I look at it, those are too big. I also look on the Chiefs end, Chiefs Bills, Chiefs Bengals. You're looking at, I think Steelers, Dallas. That's another big one. Philly, Kansas City. Kansas City seems to revolve around a lot of those rivalries.
Yeah.
But Detroit and Dallas, that's another big one.
Detroit Dallas is emerging as a marquee
Yeah.
rivalry, I feel like. Whereas I think when I think of Dallas, it's either Philadelphia or Washington as far as and clearly because they're they're in the same division. But there's other games that when they're coming up on the docket, like for me right now, it's Detroit and San Francisco just because of what happened in the NFC Championship last year. As the Detroit
touchdown,
Lions,
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
St. Brown punches it in here, and the Lions have extended their lead 26-7 Pending the extra point, this will be a 20-point game for the Lions going into the halftime. Man,
He just
momentum
yeah,
is a serious fucking thing,
he
bro.
found every hole he could find there. He's just bouncing around, guys. That was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those matchups that you're gonna find around the NFL. And I'm surprised, honestly, being a divisional matchup with Detroit and Minnesota, I'm surprised that's not as much as a rivalry game as what Green Bay Detroit or Green Bay Chicago is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Bears Packers.
Bears Packers is another one.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you why that one popped up all of a sudden. It's going to sound so stupid, but we're what? We're 3 days away from Christmas, right?
Yeah.
As we're doing this live. Again, we appreciate you all tuning in on YouTube, Facebook, and Riverside.fm. The movie Christmas Story. And one of the
All-time classic, by the way.
for real, is it? How could it not be?
Right.
Like if it's not on your at least your top 10, I question whether or not you're fucking human, and if you have emotion, and if you love Christmas. Be that as it may, they make mention of it. The old man was looking forward to the Packers Bears game that weekend,
Yeah.
and that game that movie was set in like the 40s, right? So even going back then, and I know it's a stupid reference, but that's what that rivalry was. Where when this movie was written, the man who wrote the movie, this was a pivotal part of this kid's childhood to the point to where he remembers his dad looking forward to this rivalry game. And even now, in recent years, a lot of times it has come down to these two teams. I mean, obviously, not within the last 5 years because Minnesota has been pretty dominant. But over the course of NFC history, Bears Packers have been a must see rivalry game.
Well, they've been the two top teams going through the 80s, 90s, and even into the early 2000s. The two top teams in the NFCs. The 90s, there was quite a few years that the Lions peaked out in that area and won that division. And then went on to NFC championship games to lose. I think to the Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. The old Redskins. So that was a rivalry from the past. A big mix up. But, the Packers and the Bears have always been standouts. I shouldn't say always in the North because we weren't always the North. We were the Central at one point.
Yep.
But two of the better teams aligned in these divisions for so many years. That Minnesota has been dominant. The last few years they've been hard to reach. They've been really good the last few seasons. They just kind of faltered off in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that might have been the Cousins curse, when Kirk Cousins was there. Because Kirk Cousins is a hell of a quarterback, but he never plays well in the playoffs.
Want to say hi to Sean Woolley real quick, who just logged in, who's watching us live on the Facebook feed. It's been a long time since I've seen the dire wolf, Corey Kerr, as he's known in the professional wrestling world. But Sean Woolley, man, I haven't really talked to a whole lot of MWO guys since suspending operations. So when I see something like that, or somebody gives me a like or a comment on something that I'm doing, like that means something, it goes beyond the borders of professional wrestling. Because I'm not telling you anything. As soon as you get out of it, people almost immediately just stop contact. It's like you don't exist anymore.
Yeah, you don't have much contact with people from the business.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, you're out of sight, out of mind." Well, fuck off. I don't, I don't really need all of it. So when I see that, guys like Sean and other people, I'd say Sean just because he's the most recent one here. They tune in to see what's happening, what's going on, and that means a lot. And so I try to support their endeavors as well. So shout out to Sean, just one of the great guys that I got to work with in the last era of the MWO. That is going to be the subject of a documentary. God damn. The Chicago Bears have rebounded. They have a Keenan Allen with a touchdown here that's going to put them up or put them a little bit closer, but still got a ways to go here. 27-13 right now with 39 seconds left in this second quarter.
He's dangerous. Oh, people knock on Chicago has a chance to be something special in the next few years with Caleb Williams. I've knocked him so much earlier in the season, but watching these games, the kid's got a lot of talent, and you got to watch out for him. And it just shows right there. They come right back, score again. We still got 39 seconds on the board. Let's see what Dan Campbell does. You know, is he gonna? We got 3 timeouts, 39 seconds. Are we gonna try to run one back down and get one back in, or at least run one back down close enough to get a field goal in before the half to go up 30-14? We'll see what he does. You know, this isn't the team that usually takes the foot off the gas pedal. They're usually, you know, foot on the gas pedal and full go right to the end. So we'll see their mentality and what their game plan is for today, right here with this 39 seconds left in the half, 3 timeouts. That's what I'm saying. This team is, they can be dangerous. Allen, you know, superstar receiver. You know, he's getting a little bit older now, but he's one of the better receivers in the league. They got pieces like that on this team, and they could do something. They need to blow up that front office. This owner needs to step up and just go, we need to start over. And there's a lot of teams out there doing that right now. You look at these teams that are becoming successful, they're hiring former players as coaches. You know, you go right down to Houston with DeMarcus Ryan, former player, doing really successful. The players need to get behind their coaches.
That's the biggest thing right there. Is there seems to be such, why is it all of a sudden, or is it that it's just being brought up to the limelight, the spotlight, this fundamental lack of respect that players have for coaches, like
Yeah.
especially now, is it a generational thing where these kids are coming into the NFL from college or from some degree of success, and they think they fucking know it all,
Yeah.
and then they're going to start butting heads with, why does I was like, why do they have a graphic of Jared Goff in a Rams uniform? But then I looked at the whole graphic, and it doesn't even matter at this point because it's off the screen. But they were comparing their first year numbers, Goff versus Caleb Williams,
Yeah.
is what was happening. But at the same time, I just feel like coaches are there for a reason, and if they're in the time that they're there, they're listen to what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're not in business to try to steer you wrong or try to steer you to make yourself look ridiculous. Is it going to mesh all the time? No, obviously not. But there's got to be some degree of respect there, especially if you're the quarterback of the team. If you don't have some degree of respect to your coach that the other members of your team see, like that's what they rally behind. They see that chemistry between quarterback and coach. These are going to be the two guys that are going to lead us to the promised land, or so it's supposed to be in their mind. But if you don't have a fundamental level of respect, it ain't going to go anywhere.
No.
And you're going to see shit that's happened in Chicago,
Man,
in Cleveland.
We saw it in Detroit, the Matt Patricia years.
Yeah.
You know, like when
Yeah.
your team doesn't respect your coach, you see the success that they can have, or lack of success that they can have. And I wonder if Detroit hiring Dan Campbell has switched the mindset for a lot of owners around the league, because you're starting to see a lot of these owners get these former players, and some of these teams coming out with a lot of success in their first few years. And these teams playing harder for their coaches, respecting their coaches. You know, you have to have that respect for your coaches, and it's easier to respect a coach who played the game, especially recently. I'm not talking like, well, I played in high school, so I can coach a team now. You're talking
Right.
a coach who played in the NFL, who understands how the NFL works, understands everything that a player goes through, not only during a game, but during the off season, during signings, the mentality of a player trying to get re-signed or worrying about being cut. These are all things that Dan Campbell can relate to in these players. So it's a different, you know, it's a different relationship with these players than, a Matt Patricia had with the players. We just need to complete something down here, call one more timeout and kick a field goal.
27-14 right now with 7 seconds left in the second quarter. 2nd and 10 for the Lions. Matt Laporta, or Sam Laporta. Who the fuck is Matt Laporta?
It's his brother.
Sam Laporta. I always saw him earlier on. It's a guy that doesn't, last year we heard his name a hell of a lot more than we have this year, it seems like. But when he is called upon, he is as dangerous as they come. And,
I think that because he had such a standout year last year, you're starting to see him get more double coverage.
Yeah.
And that's a testament to how good he is when they're putting 2 people on to try to cover him. But when you have as many weapons as we do at receiver, and another big step up for us this year has been Tim Patrick, especially over the last few games. That guy's really stepped into that role, and he's had very few incredible games.
They're showing a graphic for Jake Bates, and as you alluded to, 64-yard field goal in 2023 in the UFL for Jake Bates. This is a 60-yard attempt
in Chicago,
wide open Air Stadium.
This is going to be a tough field goal. If he gets this is tough. I wouldn't be mad if he missed this, because this is a lot to ask for.
Yeah.
Oh,
what the fuck?
Did they just call us on a penalty?
They threw the flag with 1 second left to play here. 2nd and 10 here.
Who's this on? What is this? I got to turn this up a little bit so we can
go right ahead.
I've been kind of keeping the volume low. Oh fuck, that's going to knock. Now we're going for a 65-yard field goal. This might take us out of field goal range. They might not try this, but at the same time, who cares?
Right. You're up 27-14.
We got 1 second left. You don't have enough time. I mean, unless you went for a Hail Mary kick. Now we get to try to see a 65-yard attempt by Jake Bates in an open air stadium.
He doesn't look concerned. He looks very calm, very poised.
This would hit his all-time PR right here.
Yeah.
1 yard. He's hit 64-yarders.
This is a 65-yard attempt by Jake Bates. It's up.
He had the distance.
He did have the distance, but unfortunately, it did hook to the right.
It's tough in that stadium. I'm not mad about that at all. It's open air stadium. It's a tough go. We're at halftime.
We really are. As they're showing the QB comparisons for the first half stats. So as they go into halftime, we are going to take a quick break. We will be back with more of the Sports Reel podcast live right after this quick timeout.
It's a Monday night showdown, and the Sports Reel podcast will be live on location for it. Join Tim Sheridan and Jason Klaus as they bring their show to Lightning Rounds in Lapeer for a special live stream recording event. It happens December 30th at 8 p.m. as the Lions take on the 49ers on Monday Night Football. Come out and meet the guys, watch some football, and be a part of the conversation. The Sports Reel podcast live on location from Lightning Rounds in Lapeer on Monday, December 30th at 8 p.m. as a part of the PFC Entertainment Network.
we are back here live on the PFC Entertainment Network, streaming, simulcasting on Facebook, YouTube, and of course Riverside.fm. The Lions have come out strong here in the second half. We are a little bit late in getting back on the air here, but looks like
Well, we had to eat something and empty our bladders. Where did our third screen go?
I don't know.
It's still showing on here. Huh. Wonder if I leave and no. We've lost the live feed. It's still showing here and it's uploaded 99%, but it's not showing me and you on here.
Yeah, and it's not popping up on my screen
What if I
either.
leave? No, I don't want to leave. I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe I hit the camera, turn the camera back on. No, I don't know what's going on. Man, we might have to figure this shit out.
Well, that's what happened. You know, look, it can't go wrong if it's live. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's
Maybe it'll kick back on here in a second because it's still recording. It's like it lost its
yeah, I don't know. But what I do know is that the Lions are up 34-14 as we start the.
So while we were filling our faces and emptying our bladders, Lions scored again. Sam Laporta in for a touchdown. I caught it upstairs.
I missed it. I was trying to sneak a quick conversation in with my girl, and the timing did not work out that way. I'm pretty sad about it. I don't. I don't I'm telling you, but be that as it may, Lions right now. I mean, as we start the second half here in Chicago, this is the game they really needed to have coming out of the gate, coming out of last week with the loss to the Bills. They have been pretty dominant here, and starting off on this in the second half, with Chicago taking their first offensive possession. Isn't looking very well for those in the blue and orange. I don't mind telling you. Still working on the game feed.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how the hell I switched it over the last time.
MVP case for quarterback Jared Goff. Team points per game, he's first. A completion percentage, he's second. Yards per attempt, he's second. Jared Goff wasn't expected to become the quarterback that he is right here and now. And to see Detroit fans really rally behind him is something that's it's been a pleasant surprise. I don't mind telling you. You're starting to see, all these Jared Goff chants, no matter where you're at in the state of Michigan. Red Wings games, Pistons games, WWE shows. If it's happening in the state of Michigan, they're chanting Jared Goff's name, and it's a pretty remarkable thing to see the city rally behind him, because there was so much backlash when that trade was made, sending Matthew Stafford to the Rams in exchange for Jared Goff. But I would say, if this, dare I say, Tim, that Jared Goff has, by the way he's been playing, Detroit winds up, coming out of that trade smelling like roses, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Without that trade, we would have never got the players that we got now in Jared Goff. I mean, I always thought Jared Goff was a high-level quarterback to begin with. I mean, I was always a fan of him with the Rams. I chose him quite a bit in fantasy. Used him quite a bit before he even got to the things. I was always a fan of Goff to begin with. So it was nice to see him come here. And the pieces that we got by trading Stafford away with all those first round picks, I mean, we wouldn't have had a Hutchinson. We wouldn't have had a Sewell. We wouldn't have had probably a Gibbs, all these pieces that we got over the years. without those picks. So it was a nice pickup. I'm trying to remember how did I do this before?
I don't know.
I figured this out before, how to change my camera around, but I can't do it right now.
I wasn't paying attention when you did it, so I have no idea how you did it. Caleb Williams, he's 14 for 22 right now, 215 yards and 2 TDs in this game up to this point. You got to feel for this kid, right? This is a guy that really wants to win in the NFL, and when you become a starting quarterback for one of the marquee franchises in the NFL, you got to believe there's a sense of expectation that comes into that. Whether it be coaching, whether it be front office, like he really has yet to find his footing here in Chicago. Yeah, I mean, but you can see just right here the raw talent this kid has, and if he had the right coaching, he would be among the elite in the NFL. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he has crazy amount of talent. And he's shown it so many times this year. I think you're right. If he had the right coaching, and the coaching comes also from the front office, I mean, they need to blow that whole system up and start over. But with him at the helm of it, but unfortunately it's Chicago. Chicago's going to make the same difference. They're going to run him for another year. They're going to have another shit year because they don't have the right coaching, and they're going to draft another number one quarterback out of a draft and push him off to someplace else, and maybe he'll end up in Pittsburgh like Justin Fields. I mean, right there shows talent. I mean, that was 4th and 1 play. They needed that to keep going in this game, and he just pinned that right where it needed to go. Lions need to be careful right now because they can start catching up to him real quick.
Yeah, like I said earlier, momentum is not to be messed with, and the Bears are definitely one of those teams that once that momentum switches, it's difficult to derail them. Once they get focused and they're firing on all cylinders, sometimes it takes a situation where they're down 20 points to finally get their shit back in order here, as we're seeing. Well, I was going to say this looks like a pretty good run play for the Bears, but Detroit all over them.
There we go. Malathamu is back right now, so that's good to have him back. He was a standout last season.
Mm-hmm.
He was a standout, quite a few years. I think he was the one who got that interception at the end of the Minnesota game last year that ended up winning us the North.
DeAndre Swift again.
We sniffed that one out pretty fast.
Yeah.
I know our feed right now for the game looks a little goofy, guys. I'm sorry. We're still trying to figure out this whole broadcast thing with my phone. We lost it at one point. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe we got kicked out of it.
Could have been.
Maybe we got shut down off that feed. So I had to rejoin, and I can't figure out how to swap the camera back around. So you're kind of getting a smaller image of what we had before, but whatever. Chances are you're probably watching the game on your own TV at home anyway. So.
And if you're not, well, listen, this is the best that we could do for right now. So, it's better than nothing. Plus, you get our entertaining commentary over top of it. This is better than Mystery Science 2000.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but this game really feels like it's flying by.
Flying by. I said that when we went into halftime. I'm like, shit, man. On our counter, it's just over 2 hours and 20 minutes since we've come on the air here. That was a little bit of a break with halftime there, but at the same, Caleb Williams is not happy. 30-yard field goal attempt for the Chicago Bears, 4th and 6 here in the third quarter. 6:12 to play. It's up, and it looks like it's going to be good. So it's going to pull them within 3 more. 34-17 now.
So
but-
man, Lions are literally up 2 scores right now. 6:03 left in the third. They can come back down and score again. Every time they come down and score, it just takes it out of the reach of the Bears a little bit farther. And I like this game plan, and it showed what they were planning on doing. And I said that at the end of the half, there were 39 seconds left on what their game plan is today. Today, their game plan is just to outscore them, and they showed that there. They just weren't slowing down.
I just happened to glance over to my left here. I couldn't help but notice your 2008 MWO Breakout Star of the Year Award. That was a fun little C right there.
Oh yeah, those
Revolution
good times.
X.
Good times.
That's how you and I met
Yep.
way back in the day.
That was a good year. That was some of the most fun I had in the business was that year. That year was a lot of fun up until my injury that year.
Mhm.
It took me out of the game for a couple of years there.
Now they really changed the direction of the company, and you know, I can't look back on 28 years of history with the organization and pinpoint a lot of points where history changed or the storyline changed, because I didn't know what the fuck I was walking into by allowing that to go on. But once you guys came in and I saw firsthand what your commitment level was, I'm like, okay, we're gonna build the promotion around these guys. And wound up, you know, on the show itself, it wound up, you know, making some very compelling storytelling. But from a personal standpoint, like you and Jim Burgett are the only ones that I talk to on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Outside of MWO, you know, you left, you know, a few years ago. Jim was there at the end. You know, we're a couple of years removed from me suspending operations from the organization, but it's just crazy because of the people that I thought I would maintain contact with from this group. It wasn't the two that I thought it would be. So, you know, which is fine with me because, you know, I have all the respect in the world for you and Jim, and you know what you guys do. And you know, Jim, you hear him every so often when his schedule allows, when he's on tea time here on the PFC network. But launching this show, you know, the Sports Reel podcast with you, like I specifically remember it was almost a year ago. We were talking about it at Backroads Bar and Grill right before I did the big holiday dinner
Yep.
for the podcast hosts. We talked about it back then. And now here we are a year later. We're doing live streaming. We're fixing to go on our first live event, live on location kind of an event. Next Monday for Monday Night Football. We're looking forward to that. Lightning rounds in Lapeer. We encourage everybody to come on out and check that out. You know, order some food and have a couple of drinks with us. Be a part of the conversation. We will go live at 8 p.m. on December the 30th. Lions and 49ers. That's gonna be a big game on Monday Night Football. Right now, it's the Lions taking care of the Bears, as the score would indicate at this point. Where are you at on? Do you pay a lot of attention to the commentators during a football game?
I try not to. Some of them are assholes.
Fair enough.
It's just that some of them are like you listen to it, they're outrageous the way they talk about some of these guys. Some of them are not half bad, but I try not to pay too much attention to them.
We grew up on an era of Pat Summerall and John Madden.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
John Madden. Miss
John-
that guy.
John Madden was a national treasure, you know, and he was one of the voices of the NFL. I have always paid a lot of attention to broadcasting, to commentators, you know, from WWF back in the day to NWA, obviously. But even in real sports, like I have a great appreciation for the voices of the particular sports. Like I just said, Summerall and Madden was your dream team.
Yeah.
If you had a marquee game on your network, those are the two guys that you wanted. Nowadays, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but Joe Buck and Troy Aikman have really become that dream team
Yeah,
for
they're good.
this era.
They're
People
good.
shit on Joe Buck all the time, and I don't know why.
People shit on Tony Romo a lot too.
I am not a fan of Tony Romo, and I'll tell you why, Tim. I pay attention to people's voices, and when I hear that man talk after 3 sentences in a paragraph, I feel like I need to clear my throat.
Yeah.
Because you can hear his voice start getting real gravelly, and I feel like I have to. I don't know. I can only take him in doses, but Jim Nance, he is the voice of CBS Sports, and he has really become one. He has become a generational voice for that network for sure. I don't hate Tony Romo, but I'm not that big of a fan of his, if I can be honest.
So let me ask you this: how's your feelings on Tom Brady starting on his career as a broadcaster this year?
His career started out exactly like I thought it would.
There's first down. That was a huge first
That
down right
was
there.
a huge one. See, was that St. Brown?
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, he's clutch. If you need those yards, you give it to St. Brown. That guy's going to make it happen. He was that way last year. He was that way the year before. I mean, that guy is he's a pivotal part of this team on the receiving core. He's wide receiver one. I mean, that guy's awesome. But back to Tom Brady. There's a lot of people shitting on Tom Brady for this year, too.
Because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Everybody expected him to be, and I'll go ahead and say it. Troy Aikman, as far as a color man, he's the measuring stick right now. And everybody expected
trick play.
Yep.
And it's
going to came real close to a first down by Jamison Williams there. Everybody expected Brady to come right out and be the next Troy Aikman. It took Aikman a couple of seasons to get his footing, but now look at him. Like I said, he and Joe Buck, there's a reason why one followed the other when they went to ESPN, and why Fox allowed them to go. Do you think that in hindsight they're looking at the decision? Damn, we really should have just paid them whatever the fuck they wanted, because that is the A team in all of the NFL, in my opinion. If you have an opinion on who the greatest broadcaster in the game right now is, we would love to hear that. You can chime in on the live chat on the Facebook feed. But Buck and Aikman is it right now. Brady?
I like some of the Brady stuff. He's undoubtedly Brady's one of the best football minds there ever was. There's a reason why they call him the GOAT. The way that he can sit there and he can read coverages and explain to you exactly what's going to happen. He can almost call what's going to happen on the field just by seeing it. And that's why he was so successful as a quarterback. I don't think he's bad. I think he's got some growing to do. And I think after a few years, he's going to grow into that spot. And people are going to stop doubting him so much. People just generally hate Brady because he won for so long. It's the same reason why people hate Mahomes now. You know what I mean? When people are that successful for that long, people start hating you. But I don't think he's that bad. There's been a lot of former players who come on. I don't necessarily dislike Tony Romo either. Sometimes he says some dumb shit. He calls some shit and that's not what happens. And he's like, oh, that's, I'm like, that's what I meant to say.
Patrick Lane had chimed in on Messenger. Do we think the Lions will win today or nope? I'm going to go with yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a pretty good chance. You're 11 seconds left in the third, up 2 scores, rushing back down the field. They're just going to let this one burn out to go into the fourth. I didn't think this was I called this our last episode dropped on Wednesday, I think.
Yeah,
I called this on Wednesday. This wasn't going to be a super tough matchup for them, especially coming off after a loss. They're going to come back out and try to prove that they're still the best offense in the league, the best team in the league still. So, and you're going against a matchup against a team that's kind of in the shambles right now, a talented team, but a team that's got a lot of work to do before they can step back into any form of contention.
Well, we want to say hi to Brian Clark, who just jumped on the live stream here on Facebook.com. A very good, close, personal, longtime friend. One of my high school chums, as it were. Brian is tuning in, checking out. We certainly appreciate that. Now, we're looking at an ad for Sam Bernstein right now. Earlier today, I saw an ad for Jeffrey Feiger's law firm. And I don't know, a year and a half ago, he suffered a stroke. And it dawns on me, we haven't seen Jeffrey Feiger on screen in any of his ads for his law firms in quite some time. Is he somebody that came across your radar on any level other than just being a TV lawyer?
I mean, mostly just a TV lawyer, you know, or you're driving on the expressway and you see the signs, you know, all over the place. But I mean, he'd been around for so many years, just like any of them. These are staples of the Detroit area. Growing up, seeing the Bernsteins, the Feigers, you know, they come to Michigan, you see these ads constantly. Ever since I remember them back from when I was a kid. You know what I mean? These have been an institution in Detroit for so long that you're used to seeing them.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about because I too remember, you know, as a young kid seeing, especially Sam Bernstein. There was another one too. There was 1-800-CALL Sam. That's this dude's gimmick, as you're seeing it on the other screen. But there was another one. Damn, what the fuck was his name? I just seen a new ad for him not all that long ago, within the last week or so. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize he was still practicing law. It wasn't called Sam. It was another one like that though. I keep wanting to say Bernstein, but that's what these people are. I cannot remember for the life of me who it is, and it's gonna bug the shit out of me.
You try to click back to those memories as a kid to hit those commercials. I always go back to that one. What the hell was that one shoe store that we saw ads for all the time?
Allen's?
Yeah, Dr. Allen's or whatever.
$29 or $250.
Yeah. I see that shit all the time.
Yep, Allen's shoe store. Yep,
$29, $250.
Yep. God, I haven't seen one of those ads in a minute.
Oh, there's a turnover right there. It makes you go, should we kick the field goal there? It went up 2.5.
Well, we're now coming into the fourth quarter here. Okay, granted, there was a turnover right there, but at the same time,
I mean, it was deep into our territory. It's not a bad spot to turn it over.
no.
It would have been nice to go up an additional, you know, score, but you got to go for it sometimes. In a situation like that, when you're already up by 2, you might as well go for it.
You know, Tim, we're 3 days away from Christmas. You ready for it?
Oh, I'm 100% ready.
Are you really?
Yeah.
You may be the first person I've ever heard say that.
Yeah, we are 100% ready in this house. Everything is done, wrapped. Everything is ready.
Amy's
to go.
ready too?
What's that?
Amy's ready too?
Yep.
No shit.
Yeah, we're ready to go.
I'll be
Amy,
goddamn.
Amy starts shopping in like freaking August.
No, she has mentioned it
Yeah,
on her
like
show.
she starts shopping. There's probably gifts that she bought back in May. Like she starts going crazy for it early. I'm not as dedicated as her when it comes to the getting it done super early, but I'm all ready. Everything's wrapped. Everything's ready to go. All the stocking stuff is done. Just waiting for Christmas to happen now. I was telling Amy that earlier. I was actually pretty excited that everything's out of the way, so it like lowers the stress level now.
Yeah.
Because you know, leading up to Christmas, it stresses you the hell out. Like I start feeling anxious. It's like starting to get hard to breathe. Like I need to find time to do this. But I got smart this year, and I had talked about this. I took this whole week off leading up to it. I was burned out from work. We've been super crazy ever since the first snowfall. that place turns into fucking a madhouse as soon as the snow falls. And it's just like, you know what? I haven't had any actual time off since I think June, where I took off time for us to go to Chicago. Other than that, the only time I took off this year was for my surgery. So I didn't really have any time to really relax this year. So it was like, I'm taking a week off, resetting, just, I'm going to do a lot of nothing really. But I did get a lot accomplished this week. I finished up Christmas shopping. I got everything wrapped. Everything's ready to go. I don't have to sweat it. I got to go back to work tomorrow. Got one day of work, and then I'm back off again until after Christmas, which is nice.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, it's nice. What about you?
I am not ready. I just started wrapping shit yesterday.
At least do you have everything bought?
No.
No? Okay,
No.
so you're gonna struggle. Are you leaving here today and going shopping?
Actually, as soon as I leave here today, I'm going to be hitting up a couple of the stores on my way back to the house. But yeah, no, I'm 90% done. I don't want to paint a picture like I'm just now starting. My kids are at that age where, it's gift cards for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about it, man, but I fucking hate that. There's like no, and I get the premise. Well, they get what they want. They get what they want. I get all that, but there is like I want them to have shit to open too.
Yeah.
But like my son just turns 16 in October. What do you get a 16-year-old who gets everything? You know what I'm saying? Like he's very difficult to buy for, but there are a couple of ideas that his mom gave me that I'm exploring and trying to get. But I realize that the majority of his gift is going to be the gift card to this apparel shop that he likes. This represent 810 or some area code gimmick. I don't know, some merchandising line. So he's not listening to this obviously, but he's getting a gift card for that. My daughter, the little entrepreneur that she started making bracelets and necklaces and things of this nature. So she wanted,
oh, they almost lost that one.
Yeah, they did. So she's in the beads and making the necklaces and things of that nature. So I got her a bunch of that shit. It just isn't the same anymore, as they get older, they're getting more difficult to buy for it. And I just found out today that my nephew, my brother's son, is going to be in town, with us for Christmas break. So that'll be cool to spend some time with him. And of course, spending time with my girlfriend and her kids, just trying to make sure I've got all my ducks in a row and figuring out what's what and when I got to be where and there and here and the other thing. And, a lot of times right now everything comes down to the 11th hour and because shit changes.
Yeah.
You can have the best laid plans, but it takes one wrench in the works, and the next thing you know, you're all fucked up. You don't know what you're doing. So I'm trying to stay ahead of that, if I could be honest with you.
It's hard to keep up. Our whole Christmas is kind of being blown up this year with family stuff going on, and we're going to different places, and it's not the usual stuff that we normally do. So stuff's changing a little bit this year, but it's still exciting time. I can't wait for it. I'm super excited for Christmas this year. But I get you, when the kids get older, it's harder to get stuff for them because, like, even Chase is 13, but Chase is at the point where he pretty much has everything that he wants, and you ask him what he wants for Christmas, and he just gives you that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's why he asks for money. And it's like, well, we're not just giving you fucking money for Christmas. Like, that's not the way this works.
Right.
Like, give us some ideas of something that you want, but what do you get a kid who has everything that he wants?
That's the difficult thing about it. Then you try to be cool and think outside the box, thinking that you're nailing a home run. They open it, they're like, meh.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought into that. You know how many phone calls I made to see if this was right? Appreciate it, Just wear it around me once. That could be a whole nother episode. People just don't appreciate the holidays like they used to.
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to save that for the flagship show. Seems more appropriate. What you hear on Tuesdays? You're on the PFC network. 34-17 right now. The Lions over the Bears. 11 minutes in the fourth quarter.
Bears
here.
are on a drive right now, though. See if they can turn this into something. Looks like Detroit's getting a little soft on defense, letting them get these short yardage passes in. Let's see if they start making a change here. That was a hell of a grab right there. Hell of a grab.
Yeah.
Keenan Allen, he's so dangerous.
Let me get you a update on the other scores here. At the 11:30 hour Eastern Standard Time, the Falcons have jumped out to a 34-7 lead over the Giants.
I think that's safe to say the Falcons are going to win that one.
Yeah, they've got about 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Carolina with a 30-20 lead over the Cardinals. Obviously, we're watching the Lions and the Bears here, 34-17 with Detroit on top there. Indianapolis have extended their lead 39-15, Tim, with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
The Rams, 16-9 over the Jets right now. They've got 6.5 minutes left to play in the fourth. And then Philadelphia Eagles are leading 27-14 over the Washington Commanders. And again, the 4 o'clock games will be Minnesota at Seattle, New England at Buffalo, Jacksonville at Las Vegas, and San Francisco at Miami. So we have those to look forward to. Of those 4 o'clock games, is there one that really stands out like this is must see? Is it the Minnesota game just because of the
implications of the division? Waiting for them to take a fucking loss. We need them to lose. Just make it a little bit easier on the Lions if they could just lose and go a game back again.
Listen, I'll go on record and I'll say this. If the Seattle Seahawks find a way to defeat the Minnesota Vikings today, this afternoon, upon the execution, or I'm sorry, that was the wrong word, upon the finalization of that game, if Seattle is to win, I shit you not, I will sit right here and I will go on Amazon and I will order something of the Seattle Seahawks and I will wear it on next week's show.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Their biggest downfall is Geno Smith has just been turning the ball over too much this year. He's definitely looks quite a bit different than he did last year. Geno Smith looked really good last year, and this year just hasn't looked as good. Okay, so another false start. That's going to be a long 3rd and 11. It looks like it's going to lead to. That was a late flag. The Lions called that one. It was like they just did it. It took them a second to throw that. It's like they weren't going to call it. Yeah, it's so funny that just a little flinch like that can cause that call. I myself will not buy anything Seattle Seahawks.
Is there a particular reason?
I'm just not a fan of the Seahawks.
No, you just don't give a fuck about it. I don't mind them. Like they're one of those teams for a long time I felt bad for. I almost forgot about.
Yeah,
because they weren't good forever. Like I said, they were up in the Pacific Northwest. People kind of forgot that there was a team up there until you had to play them on the schedule.
yeah. Or when Russell Wilson was tearing stuff up there and winning Super Bowls.
That's when they became prominent.
Yeah.
Okay,
Big sack right there. Big sack for the Lions. Push them way back down, 4th down. Pushed them way back. I don't even know if that's going to be a field goal range for them anymore.
You know,
And on top of that, they might have to go for it on 4th and 20 because there's only 8:34 and they're down 2 score. They're going for it 4th and 20. So this is a good chance. We need to shut them down right here, get the ball back. And this is the point in the game that you go, do you might want to start worrying about game management. 8:21 left. You can burn 4 or 5 minutes off on this drive. Pretty much wraps this game up.
listen, the Chicago Bears have found every possible way to lose a game this season.
Yeah.
It makes you kind of wonder as you're coming into single digits in terms of minutes left in the fourth quarter. Bears fans are starting to fucking panic. Because here's what I've done every week. The weeks that Lions win, I will go on TikTok and I will specifically seek out reaction videos of the opposing team. And that's some of the funniest shit that there ever was.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, the loss with the Lions wasn't. I mean, it was a close game.
That was a rough loss for
It
them.
was, yeah,
Because they should have been able to tie that game up.
right. And then it was the week after, and there was horrible mismanagement of the time clock, and I think a timeout wasn't called when they were expecting them to call it. Wound up costing them a game in a very unconventional fashion. Right now, Bears fans are shitting their pants. Can we agree on that?
Oh, 100%. Or they're just used to it by now. We've been there.
Well, right. That's why I don't feel bad for Dallas, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota when Lions beat them. I don't feel bad for these teams because they're the ones who were just heaping mounds of shit upon us as
Yeah.
Lions fans for decades. So what this is karma.
Yeah.
What this is finally guys like Tim and I who have spent our entire lives as Lion fans clamoring for something. We now have it. And we're not going to be unapologetic about it. And here's the other thing. And I know there are going to be examples to the contrary, but by and large, I feel like the success of the Detroit Lions has really made our fan base more respectable.
Yeah.
Because you see what happened with the Pistons when they won. You saw what happened with the Tigers when they were vying for the World Series. You see what happened with the Red Wings, and shit got out of hand. The Detroit Lions fans at this point, like last year, I was ready for a full-blown riot when they went to the NFC Championship game. That did not happen. Now, as we start to sniff the Super Bowl or a berth into the Super Bowl, it makes you kind of wonder, and I'll go ahead and go on record. I am imploring all Detroit Lions fans to calm the fuck down. And if this winds up becoming a thing, Detroit already has a reputation of not being able to bask in the glory of our team's success in a adult-like manner. I take you back to 1984, and I know it was a long time ago, but the Tigers had just won the World Series. And how did the city of Detroit celebrate? They went and set fires to police cars right outside the fucking stadium. This is not what we need. Detroit, because of who we are and what we are, we have a reputation. There is, especially right now, it is imperative that the fan base of the Detroit Lions, as excited as we're getting, especially when we're looking at a 34-17 lead with 7.5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter against a divisional rival, this is going to boast very well for us. We have to maintain some degree of professionalism and be cordial in our support for our team. Get excited, Detroit. I'm not saying don't get excited. I'm saying be respectful. You don't have to be turning cars over. You don't have to be setting fires. You don't have to be throwing shit at the opposing players. What's important is being done on that field, that 100 plus yard field. That's what's important. Okay. So if you cannot maintain some degree of decorum in celebration of this team's success, you need to check the fuck out right now. Because we don't need your bullshit putting a black eye on shit that we have been waiting a lifetime for. And I know I went off on a fucking promo, and I'm sorry about that, but this is what happens when I start drinking, Tim. And
all good.
I'm on live air. Who the fuck's going to stop me?
Yeah.
Nobody.
I think
My
the Lions fan will
apologies.
do just fine. They I mean, look how well they represented the city during the draft this year. So I think they do fine with it. We just had that was a bad time to take a delay a game when we had short yardage to get a first down. But easy pickup for Amon Ra.
Yeah.
Mr. Dependable right there.
Absolutely, Mr. Clutch, as it were. I don't know. I will tell you this though. I am with the way this has gone down here today with this live stream that we're doing. We're coming up on the 3-hour mark. This has been a very good test run, and I'm very excited about next Monday
Me too.
with our live appearance at Lightning Rounds. One more time, we're going to go ahead and make mention of it. We are going to be live on location at Lightning Rounds on 266 Lake Nipissing Road in Lapeer, Michigan. Tim and I are going to be going live on the air at 8 p.m., some 20 minutes before kickoff of Lions 49ers for Monday Night Football. We are probably going to, I'm not going to speak for you, obviously. You know, I know you have your own schedule. I'm going to be there no later than 7 p.m. to get things set up. And
I'll probably be around there around that time.
so come on out early. We would love to meet with you guys, sit down with you for a couple of minutes. If you want to be a part of the conversation on the broadcast, you are very much encouraged to do that. You know, Tim, I don't know about you, but I've gotten a lot, and I don't say this to be cocky or anything, but like my time is pretty much accounted for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't have a lot of free time when it comes to going out and doing quote unquote fun shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I have things on my radar, obligations, responsibilities, and priorities, you know, if I'm being honest. For those of you who have been, because you know we're on shutdown right now for the holidays at my shoot job, and people have picked up on that, like, hey, we need to get together for this, we need to get together for that. I wish I had enough hours in the day to make all that a reality, but what I can tell you is that Tim and I, we will be at Lightning Rounds in Lapeer next Monday. We'll be there around 7 o'clock. Come on out before the show. Let's hang out. Let's have a beer. Let's do a shot. I don't give a fuck.
Let's get you on air.
Let's
Come
do
have
it. Yeah,
discussions
let's
with
be a
us.
part of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know, you obviously you're a sports fan, and in some regard, we don't have to talk just about the Lions. You got something to talk about the Red Wings? Let's talk about the Red Wings. You got something about the Pistons? Let's bring it. We talked about Justin Verlander last week. Already has announced plans to come back to Detroit when this shit in Houston's over with, to retire as a Tiger. Let's talk about it. You're a Michigan fan. I'll even let you. I think of TJ Brewer on this regard. If you're an Ohio State fan, you can come on the show. We won't bash you too bad.
We can even not talk golf. I love golf. Anybody who caught the challenge PGA versus Liv the other day, you had Rory and Scotty there that pretty much beat up on Bryson and Brooks. You know, they took that one single-handedly. I don't know if you ever caught any of that. And then right now, currently, the PNC Championship's going on. And I haven't looked up today what the leaderboard is, but Tiger and Charlie were ahead of the pack yesterday. That's another one. I don't know if you follow golf a lot, but Charlie Woods, that kid has a bright future ahead of him.
No, and I'll be honest, I don't follow golf, so you'll have to educate me quite a bit here, especially, I realize that's going to be something that we're going to be focusing a lot more attention on post NFL season. Charlie Woods, you said? Is he related to
Yeah, Charlie
Tiger?
Woods.
Okay, I thought
It's
so, but I
Tiger's son.
didn't want to assume. That shows you how out of the loop I am on this shit.
So far, Team Woods is still tied for first. They're 13 under through round 2. So we watched round 1 last night. Watched them finish out. They finished out. They shot a 59 yesterday. The PNC Championship is usually it's a best ball tournament teams pretty much. So you have Tiger and Charlie, his son. It's a lot of father-son combos, father or grandpa-grandson combos. I mean, you have like Lee Trevino playing in it. Some of the older guys are still in it that are playing in it. It's a cool tournament. I mean, Fred Couples is playing, I think, with his grandson. You got Team Faldo. So these are some big names from golfs in the past. Trying to see. Let's look at the field because I wanted to see exactly because you got Team Daly playing on it too. So you got John Daly and his son playing in this tournament too. It's a fun tournament to watch. I think Charlie Woods has a bright future in golf as a young man. That boy can kill a ball.
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that Tiger was at the stage where he has a kid playing golf.
Oh yeah, he's still young. I think Charlie might be 15 years old or so. I think he played in his first pro tournament last year. He didn't play very well, but you're talking about a 14-year-old kid playing in a pro tournament. It was pretty cool to see that. And he played in the junior championship, which was in Grand Blanc this year. And I think Tiger caddied for him.
No shit.
During that, yeah. So they were in Grand Blanc there this year. It's cool. He spends a lot of time with his son now and training his son to golf. His son's a very talented golfer. I was watching the PNC Championship, and Tiger actually had his daughter caddying for him during the championship going on right now. So it's cool to see the whole family out there. Tiger's one of those ones that is he as good as he used to be? No, but he's still a big name in golf, and it's exciting to see him out there and play. And he's still really, really good.
Would you say he's still the face of the sport?
I'd say he's one of them. Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd say the face of the PGA right now is probably Tiger and Rory McIlroy,
Okay.
and Scotty Scheffler right there with them too. Scotty Scheffler's been the number one golfer in the sport for probably going on close to 2 years now. The guy's incredible. But those are probably the 3 tops in the PGA right now. There's still a weird aspect with golf because the PGA and LIV haven't fully merged together yet. I anticipate that happening. It's supposed to happen. So like some of your big names are playing for LIV, some of them are playing for the PGA, but the PGA is still your standout, organization in golf currently. And Tiger's still one of the top faces in that.
We have spent a lot of time here this afternoon looking at the rival, not to dismiss golf or anything like that, but this thing popped up here. I've been trying to find different snippets of Lions Bears rivalry over the years. Tim, I want to take you back to September 12th of 2010. Detroit Lions wide receiver Calvin Johnson appeared to catch a touchdown pass late in the game that would have given the Lions the lead, but it was controversially ruled to not be a catch after Johnson was ruled not to have completed the process
Yeah.
of catching the ball. Johnson had the ball in both hands, got both feet down, rolled onto his backside, and put his hand with the ball in it on the ground. The call was reviewed on the instant replay review, but the no catch ruling was upheld. The rule for what defines a catch was updated 5 years later in 2015, with this play, along many similar other plays, being a main reason for the change. Do you remember this game?
I don't remember the game, but I've seen a lot of highlights from it.
I can remember watching this game live
Yeah.
and wondering when in the fuck did a what was the terminology they used? The no catch rule of being upheld, because by our definition he had it, both feet were in bounds, he went down, he still had the ball, but as soon as he started to roll, that's when he had let go of the ball, and all of a sudden that's not a catch. But they were pulling different clips from how many different games across the league that similar situations were being seen that were awarded the touchdown. This started the controversy of, is there a bias against the Detroit Lions? And with this shot right here, look at all the empty seats you're starting to see in Soldier Field here, with just under 4 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter.
Right there.
This was a sold out game here.
Yeah.
This week. And now you're starting to see a lot of fans start heading for the exits in Chicago.
So yeah, you talking about that? That takes me back to a time when the Lions had and that wasn't the only call. There was a bunch of them. There's a bunch of Kelvin Johnson rules of shit that they changed because of the way that plays played out with him and the shit that got overturned. But the Lions got screwed over so many times over the years by bad calls, and that's one of those bad calls. And it's nice to see at this point in time. What's this flag? Hold on. At this point in time, a lot of calls are starting to go our way.
Yeah.
Oh, Zadarius Smith just got did he get a roughing the passer?
Because we're looking at the replay here.
That's not a roughing the passer. What is that?
Well,
he pulled him down on top of him.
Oh, that's late.
That's kind of a chintzy call. The ball just left his hand. Got to keep the game kind of interesting, right?
I mean, you really got. You're gonna get me on another.
That was a bullshit call right there. I have to say that 100% bullshit call. Not roughing the passer. For God's sakes, he pulled him down on top of him. You couldn't do any of a softer tackle than that.
Oh man. I'm looking at this. October 24th, 1971. Lions wide receiver Chuck Hughes collapsed on the field and was rushed to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. He remains the only player in NFL history to have died on the field. Like, I knew Detroit, Chicago had a unique history, but I didn't know this was a chapter, a part of it. I wish I hadn't read that out.
Yeah.
But goddamn, could you imagine that?
That's a sad day.
Fuck. I was looking for like game statistics and those lopsided scores. I didn't expect to see that. Yeesh. All right. What else can I find here to reset our palette?
We're getting flag after flag after flag.
See, this is the shit.
Now. Keeping this drive alive for them.
We saw a lot of and again, Pitt picked up another, 7 yards?
Yeah, it's Keenan Allen. He's going off today.
This is the shit that we were seeing with the Buffalo game. They started rattling off a bunch of stupid penalties, one right after another. It wasn't that Buffalo was doing it in that drive. Detroit was doing it to themselves, and now we're seeing the same thing here with Chicago.
That's going to be another flag.
He sure the fuck is.
They didn't call it, though. There should have been a flag there. We got really lucky there. I mean, he was holding them right up there to the end. Like that should have been PI. clearly had his arms wrapped up there before as the ball was coming in. That should have been PI. That I don't know how we didn't get called on
I
that one
don't
because they
either.
called a bullshit, roughing the passer there a minute ago, and that probably should have been PI.
Darnold is, or Arnold. I'm sorry, Arnold, number 0 for the Lions. He has been he is the most frustrating player for me to watch because of all the stupid penalties. And I get very young in the league and he's trying to get acclimated, but god damn, if you are at this position, you should know what the fuck you're supposed to be doing and what you're not.
Yeah.
Stupid penalties, and a lot of them are rung up on number 0 for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, he's caught his fair share of them this year. They've slowed down as the season went along, but he's also had some big ones in big moments that they didn't need him. And that was almost another one right there. He got very lucky not to pull that call. But I think the reason they didn't call it because the Chicago receiver was doing the same thing to him at the same time. That's
man,
No
I thought he
flags.
had it.
That's turnover right there. That should be enough to wrap up this game right here.
2.5.
No, now they
minutes
call a
of-
late flag? What the fuck?
I was wondering if a late flag was coming in here.
But what's
and
the flag for? It's the Arnold's looking.
Williams is staying? Caleb Williams staying out on the field, so he must have been told something.
I need to turn this up a little bit so we can hear this call. This is a big call right here. I mean, not that it's going to change the outcome of this game. I think they're down, but no flag on the play. Okay, so whoever threw that was a fucking dipshit.
Well,
And they
you want to start
decided
a
as a
conversation
group-
about the referee crew on this
Yeah.
motherfucker? Because
Whoever called that was a dipshit, and the rest of the refs decided together that that was a dipshit. What was the flagging before? Not pass interference. He didn't even hit him until the ball was hitting his hand. So he didn't wrap him up at all. No call there. Like, what the fuck was the flag going to be for? Yeah. Like, what? I want to know who threw that flag. That was stupid. Do you think, because there's a lot of bad calls, there still is, do you think that every call should be reviewed by New York? Like if they come through, they do a lot of New York calls, especially under 2 minutes now. But if a ref throws a flag and it's a bullshit call, do you think New York should be able to overrule that? It might slow down the game a little bit, but there's a lot of times where these games are changed or somebody wins that probably shouldn't win off of a bullshit call. And it's something that easily New York could look at that and go, no, that's not what that was.
for the integrity of the game, I feel like it's an option that has to be researched because we have sat here for weeks on end and talked about either directly or indirectly the inconsistency that these referee crews have and the ramifications that subpar officiating has resulted in.
Yeah.
Now we could sit here and obviously people are going to point to us and be like, oh, you're just, sappy Lions fans and this is the way it is.
But it just doesn't affect the Lions.
No.
There's a bunch of
At
things.
this point, it doesn't. We focused on the Lions because that was our team, but we're starting to look at other referee crews, other teams, other games going on where you're like, how in the fuck did they come up with that one? What? And it feeds into this narrative that the NFL, I hate to use the word scripted, but there is not an urgency, but there is some degree of like they want the season to go one way from a promotional
Yeah.
standpoint. They want these high market teams to make it deep into the playoffs, if not the Super Bowl, because in their mind that's what generates money. I've always maintained that whoever wins the Super Bowl on that year is that the best team in the National Football League of that year. It shouldn't make a fucking shit bit of difference.
Yeah.
How much advertising revenue they're bringing in. I realize this is why Kansas City is so popular, not just because, but I mean, we can't discount the fact that the Taylor Swift influence has generated a lot of dollars for the NFL, for the Kansas City Chiefs franchise. We're focusing more on that than what's happening on the football field. And if we're not focused on the product of the football field itself, what the fuck are we doing right now?
Exactly.
That's my biggest issue with everything. And there we see an ad for the United Football League. Where are you at on the UFL? Did you watch any of that?
I didn't, because it's hard to find it
Okay.
on TV. But I wouldn't actually mind going down this year and catching a Panthers game. You know, they're at Ford Field. Tickets are cheap. I looked them up last year. We thought about going down. It didn't pan out. But I think you can get tickets for like $20 for good seats to go to a Panthers game. That's going to be close to a first down. We get a first down there. That wraps up that's 3rd and 1. We get a first down, the game's over.
Yeah.
They'll just kneel it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, look at the talent that gets pulled out of the UFL. I mean, look at the Jake Bates. It gets pulled out of there. You can look at it as a staging ground for the Lions, really.
I was just going to say a lot of people are going to shit on the UFL because it was a merger between the USFL and the XFL, and this could be saved for another episode. But the XFL, just the name alone, because of how it came to be, very controversial, very polarizing.
Yeah.
Didn't last very long. Now with this merger with the USFL,
Commanders are making a comeback. I'm sorry.
yes, nope, they absolutely are. And I told you a few weeks ago, man, Washington is one of these teams that I'm watching.
Yeah.
Because they're low key coming in under the fucking radar, and they're going to start surprising people.
Well, it'd be nice if they could knock off the Eagles today, because that puts some little breathing room between the Eagles and the Lions or Minnesota.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because this game's wrapped up 34-17. Lions are winning this one.
They're going to jump to 13-2 on the season. The Bears are going to fall to 4-11. This is the 13th win this season, the most in franchise history. That stat alone, Tim, is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You and I are sitting here in your recording studio, and we're looking at another piece of Detroit Lions history being made. The most wins in a single season in franchise history. We're talking about a franchise known as the Lions that go back to 1934. This shit is insane to me.
Yeah, this is the best we've ever seen the Lions ever. Not only in our lifetime, and this is exciting to see in our lifetime, the Lions being so good. It's enough to almost bring a tear to your eye, knowing like all your family members who have passed that were lifelong Lions fans, and you wish that they would have been able to see the Lions the way that they are now. You know what I mean? That was last year during the playoffs when they won that first playoff game, and then they won the second playoff game. It was like, fuck, I wish my Uncle Ryan was here to watch this with us. You know what I mean? Like, he waited his whole life to be able to see a Lions team this good, and he's no longer here, but they're this good now. But in my mind, they're still able to see it. They're able to watch it.
You got the best seat in the house.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah. But,
so the Detroit Lions are gonna collect one more W here in week 16 of the NFL season, and let's go ahead and get an update on what else is happening here. Let me go ahead and hit the refresh button. We'll go down the gambit real quick, and looks like the Carolina Panthers have pulled out. No, I'm sorry. There's a minute 57 left, 30-27 over the Cardinals. Lions over the Bears. The Colts with a 39-30 lead. Nope, that one is now over Tennessee Titans. 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Washington 28, Philadelphia 27. And then we are waiting to start for Minnesota, Seattle. New England, Buffalo, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, San Francisco, Miami, and then tonight, Tampa Bay and Dallas. Tomorrow night, Monday Night Football, New Orleans and Green Bay. So,
Well, we might as well stay at the end of this game since they just flashed over to this Eagles
Yeah.
Washington game, because this has a lot of implications for that first round bye. That's why I'm saying these games led it up to these next few weeks are going to be so exciting, because there's a lot of implications about what's going to happen with playoff standings, with people just getting into the playoffs. Every one of these games kind of pushes out. If the Commanders can beat the Eagles today, that's also huge for the Lions. If we can get a Minnesota loss today, another huge, or not today. When Minnesota plays,
they're up at 4 o'clock.
they're up at 4 o'clock. Okay.
Yep.
So if they can lose today, another big game for the Lions. You know, all these have implications now. One step closer to that first round bye, which could be huge for the Lions this year with the injuries alone.
Rams picked up a 19-9 win over the Jets. That one is final. Then we saw the Cincinnati Bengals. This one is now final. 24-6 winners over the Cleveland Browns. No surprise there.
Eagles
from
just
my-
went up field goal. Sorry, I had to cut in there.
No, it's totally cool. So it's what 30 to 28 right now. Man, this is this is rivalry right here. You know, when it comes that close. I'll be honest, I traditionally haven't been an Eagles fan. I've always been kind of a Redskins fan back when Mark Rippon was the quarterback. Actually led the team to the 1992 Super Bowl.
Do you see they might actually bring back the Redskins logo? Not the
Listen,
name yet, but the
yeah.
logo.
This is step one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's with it. I know this is going to get controversial. They should have never changed the fucking name.
No, neither should have the Cleveland Indians.
No. Listen, I can understand the argument to change the name. I'm not dismissing the argument. But when you have other Native American tribes, elders, that are coming out and being like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah.
We do not have a problem with this. The minor or the vocal minority, I guess is a better way of saying it, is the reason why all this is being brought to the limelight. The elderest of chiefs have come out and said, we do not mind Redskins or Indians or Seminoles or Braves, chiefs being used as mascot names. So Washington did not want to change their team.
They kind of got bullied into it.
They did get bullied into it from the NFL, from all the way up to the United States government.
Yeah.
You need to change your name. The ownerships are like, no, we're not changing. We've been established since God, 40s, I feel like, right? They weren't one of the charter franchises, but they were in that second tier, I feel like. They were the Redskins, or well, they were the Braves, another Indian descendant name, and then they became the Redskins. And I understand. I can understand where the argument can be made. That is a derogatory remark. But if the tribal chiefs, or I don't say it dismissively, I'm trying to be respectful here, but if they're okay with the name Redskins, what the fuck do you care
Yeah.
what the shit that this football team is called?
A lot of people getting angry for no reason.
No reason, because they're fucking bored with their lives. They need something to be a part of, even though they don't understand what the premise of it is. They just know it's a part of something that's making noise. And that's what they want, because they are bored individuals.
Oh, pick. That's the end of the game.
That's it. It's still going.
Yeah. That's going to wrap it up. Damn, I was hoping the Eagles would.
Yeah, God
Lose that
bless
one.
America.
Somebody needs to slow down these Eagles. Because the Eagles are also tied with the Lions after this point. But the Lions still hold that tiebreaker because they have a better divisional record than what the Eagles do. The Lions are still leading the NFC at this point. But I mean, with Minnesota and the Eagles, I mean, they're right there with them. They are right there with them. This is NFC is so tough this year. I mean, this game isn't 100% over yet, but it's pretty fucking close at this point.
No, it's something catastrophic would have to happen, I feel like, at this point. Philadelphia is another one of those teams you just don't fuck with. You give them an opening like that, they're generally not going to squander that.
You know, it was one of those teams that didn't start out all hot this year either. Like, I mean, they've only lost 2 games, but they didn't look good at the very beginning of the season. They were winning some close games, which I guess that's all that matters. I mean, Washington still has 2 timeouts. There's 2:44. If they can put a stop here and let them, they'll have to come back down and score a touchdown. It's not out of the realm. Jaden Williams is a hell of a quarterback. They can make something happen. But these Eagles they're playing very well at the perfect time. You know, they're getting better every week, and that gets scary in the NFC.
Damn. I was really hoping Washington was going to take this. Two minutes left, almost 2:07. Second and 13 now. Third down.
The funny thing is, hold on a second here. I didn't even catch what happened in this game. Jalen Hurts is not in this game right now. They have Kenny Pickett in it. Did Jalen Hurts get hurt today?
Stand by. Let me do some research here. Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts ruled out of the Eagles game at the Commanders.
Oh, so he didn't even play today.
Doesn't look like that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm falling off with my keeping up on what's going on. If I didn't realize so when they're beating the Commanders and they don't even have Jalen Hurts in, shows you how good Philly is.
Okay.
Not that Kenny Pickett's a slouch, obviously. I mean, that should have been a give me.
Jalen Hurts was ruled out of the Philadelphia Eagles game at the Washington Commanders on Sunday with a concussion. Hurts' head bounced off the ground at the end of one run, and Frankie Luvu hit him in the helmet at the end of another in the first quarter. Hurts went to the blue medical tent on the visiting sideline and was replaced by Kenny Pickett.
Okay, so he went out in this game. So I wasn't all crazy. We just weren't following this game at the time. But I mean, there's going to be 2 minutes left. That's good. Okay, so I mean, Commanders are still in this. Minute 58 left. They score a touchdown, they can win this. So let's root on the Commanders for a minute, even though that's another team I really don't want to have to face during the playoffs. But
no, but I would much rather face Washington than Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I feel like Detroit would be able to expose the flaws with Washington better than they would be able to isolate the flaws in Philadelphia.
I could see that. The only thing that worries me about Washington is Jaden Daniels is so good on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually a downfall to Detroit because they play so much man coverage. They really don't have anybody to cover that quarterback. So that quarterback easily escapes a lot to pick up yardage. It proved last week against the Bills. Detroit just did not give up that man coverage. They're going to die with man coverage. They will not run it. It works really well, but when you have a very mobile quarterback, sometimes it can hurt you. And it showed last week with the Bills. There's nobody to cover that quarterback if he escapes. So you need to try to contain that pocket. And if you can't, you're going to get hurt. But then again, so is Caleb Williams, and we just beat them no problem. I mean, there's a few times he picked up some first downs, but we caught him quite a few times too. So they're getting better in that area. I think they were more well prepared for the Chicago game than they were the Bills game. I think they overlooked the Bills a little bit, and they weren't quite ready for it.
Is it that they overlooked the Bills, or they were focused more on the Bears because it was a divisional game?
That could be it too. You know what I mean?
I just don't. I just
game
can't
with more
imagine a scenario where
information.
they didn't take Buffalo seriously.
Yeah. Or they
Just-
just didn't care as much if they won that game or not as they would or a conference game or even a divisional game.
Because it is an AFC opponent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you kind of wonder what the strategies are, from coach to coach. Because we could sit here, anybody can sit here on any given Sunday, be like, well, they should be doing this, and then why aren't they doing that? Who the fuck are we at the end of the day? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have information that we don't have privy to. Now, does it always pan out? Clearly not. But man, when it does, it's like, oh, that was a little bit of brilliance going in, right there.
Sometimes they make some goofy decisions like a onside kick with 10 minutes to go.
Well, yeah.
Like, what the hell was that? Even I was like, what? No.
So was everybody
But
else.
if it would have worked out, we would have been like, fuck yeah.
Greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
All right, so here's where we are right now with the flag
down.
thrown. We got a 33-28 game with Philadelphia Eagles over the Washington Commanders right now. A minute 52 left in the fourth quarter. And this is what we call nut crunching time.
Yeah. Let's see what this boy's made of. Oh, that's going to be good for them too, because that's going to
Yeah.
add on. And that was a good return.
That is a penalty against the Eagles there.
Oh, he left early.
Yeah. 2.5 strikes.
This, how do you feel about this new kickoff?
I don't know, man.
This is another thing we were talking about, the UFL or the XFL. This is something that was adopted from that league.
Yeah.
Something that they tried out for a year before they decided to bring it in the NFL. They do have a little bit of a working relationship. So they had them try this kickoff, and then they adopted it in the NFL. I don't know if I'm a fan of it.
I see why they're doing it. I think it just takes another layer away from what made football what we expected it
Yeah.
to be. Like, I understand protecting people's heads and, try to reduce the injuries and shit like that. But I mean, they kind of sign up for it.
Yeah.
They know this is what they're getting into when they sign up to become a professional football player. Even a college football player. Like, you're going to get fucked up. And the better you are, the better the chances are you're going to get fucked up. That's just the way that it goes. How bad are you fucked up? Well, that means that's how good you are. I know that's people. That's not true. Listen, calm the fuck down. We're just trying to have a little bit of fun here on a Sunday afternoon. Don't take everything so seriously, Francis. It'll be fine.
He should have stayed in bounds there.
Minute left. Yeah, I probably would have too.
There's still a lot of time left on it. I mean, they're only at the 35-yard line. This is why he's dangerous. This is what I'm
Yep.
worried about in the playoffs right there.
He's-
The Lions have trouble defending that. You play man coverage, you're going to have trouble with that. They're playing a rush. They're just rushing shit. He's calling everybody back to the line right now. They need to span this out to get in the end zone. Time's still on their side. They have one timeout left. Get back to the line. They got all the time in the world still.
The play clock and time clock are mirroring one another with 30 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter. 2nd and 4 for the Commanders. Oh, did not get it.
No, but they'll call a timeout there.
3rd and 1.
I mean, this is 4-down territory, anyways. They're down. Field goal's not going to win it. They still have 2 downs left to get this. Not a big deal. 23 seconds left. That's still a lot of time. They need one big play to get this in the end zone. They can win this game.
Two timeouts remaining for Philadelphia, none for Washington. Talking about timeouts, you know, week ago, 2 weeks ago, Bears had an opportunity to call a timeout to stop the time clock from expiring, from running out, and they elected not to do that. And it was the Lions game.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
Thanksgiving game. Yeah.
Yeah. Very unconventional win, very unconventional use of the time clock by the Bears. You know, it's things like that that people don't understand how crucial, how important proper clock management is until you see a scenario like that, which, to be honest with you, I don't remember the last time I saw something like that go down in that aspect, where the Bears were literally just ran out of time in the manner that they did.
Well, the next day their coach got fired. For
Yeah.
stupid decisions. That was a game that the Lions probably should have lost.
Absolutely.
But they ended up winning it. Fortunately, they came back today and beat them pretty convincingly.
Just got a notification that your wife was watching,
Oh,
in case you wanted to say anything sweet to her.
oh, she knows I love her.
Oh, and it's in.
yeah! 6 seconds
Washington.
left. They're going for 2.
Holy shit. There you are going for 2. It's 34-33 Washington. 6 seconds left in the fourth. And the Commanders are going for 2. Daniel's doing everything he can to pump that crowd up. I don't think he needs to do much more.
That was huge right there. Like I said at the beginning, this game has big implications for the Lions. Like, all these games matter now. It doesn't matter if you're a fan. Like, if you just sit back and watch the Lions and you don't watch the rest of the NFL, you're not being smart, because every one of these games has implications for everything that's going on in these last weeks.
This is going to be huge right here. And
they
he's
got
it.
So now they need a field goal to tie it with only 6 seconds left.
Something significant is going to happen here.
Yeah. Like, this is awesome.
Coming down literally to the 11th minute,
Yeah.
as it were. This is what the Detroit Lions need right here. If they can hold off the Philadelphia Eagles for 6 seconds, and I realize if you're not a football fan, that seems like the easiest thing in the world. But if you are a football fan, you understand why this is not a given. Is it likely? Yes. Is it a given? Absolutely fucking not.
No, you want to talk, and I think I posted this on the Sports Reel Facebook page earlier this year. You don't need a lot of time to make shit happen. You go back to the 12-second game with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, where the Kansas City Chiefs only had 12 seconds left on the clock, and they came back down to tie up that game. So it doesn't take a lot of time to make shit happen in this league, especially they're sitting on 2 timeouts. 6 seconds isn't a lot. They're going to burn up a couple of this. They're not going to kick it to the end zone. They're going to kick it, they're going to kick it short and make them return this. Because that's going to burn time off the clock for 5, 4, 3, 2. Now we're just going to play a bunch of fucking laterals. Oh, and the ball's out. The ball's out. Game's over. Washington just won this game. Huge for the Lions. That just put a game separation between the Lions and the Eagles.
12-3 now are the the Philadelphia Eagles. 10-5 is the Washington Commanders.
That's going to put them even closer to playoffs. I don't know if that secured playoffs for them, but they're real close to securing playoffs now.
Said the first time they've had this record since 1991, and if I can take you back, that is the last year that they won the Super Bowl. So that is a significant stat. 36-33 Washington over Philadelphia. That does give some breathing room for Detroit. And then later on here this afternoon, we're going to see the Minnesota Vikings in action. And then tomorrow night, the Green Bay Packers will be hosting the Saints on Monday Night Football. We get bonus coverage now with the Panthers and Cardinals tied at 30 going into overtime here. This kind of surprises me.
Well, this is not as big of a game, but it is the Cardinals who are on a still on a playoff hunt, and this game could have huge implications for them if they drop another game here. That's pretty much going to eliminate them out of any playoff hunt. Because, I mean, we've got 2 weeks left after this week of regular season football.
Right.
Like, it's coming down to the wire.
You know, I get a lot of shit for being a Carolina Panthers fan, but the amazing thing is when they're good, people tend to jump on the bandwagon. The problem is they're just not good very often.
Yeah.
They go in spurts, you know what I mean? They'll get a 2-3 year run where they're good. They'll actually make the Super Bowl, but then they shit the bed, then they don't do anything after the fact. You know, it's like, man. Oh, look, they're playing John Cena's music. Talked about John Cena a hell of a lot more than I thought we would this week on the show, but be that as it may. All right. They're lining up. It is 4th and 28. They're going to kick it off
So
here.
the Panthers,
Carolina.
they have good field position already.
Yeah, right at catching it at the 50-yard line.
With 4 minutes left, they need to pick up just a little bit of yardage, kick a field goal, and they win this game. And the Panthers win once again. And they pretty much put
The death
Arizona
knell.
out
Yeah.
of playoff contention. That's why we were talking earlier this week about some spoilers happening this week. And I mean, we just watched Washington could have spoiled the Phillies' chance of getting that first round bye. We could watch Carolina spoil any hopes for Arizona this season. This is the time of the year you start seeing spoilers happen. And it's exciting football all around. I've been watching so much football. I mean, I watch a lot of football every week anyways, but some of these games, this is huge right here. This is it. They're well within
field goal range. I gotta believe that they're gonna.
I mean, they might kick a field goal here and try to just end the game here, or they might try to run a few more times, gain a few more yards.
I wouldn't mind seeing him making a run for the end zone before just breaking out the field goal unit.
But this is where you wonder, like, do you chance him possibly fumbling it?
Right.
You know, ball control. You're well within field goal range. All you need to do, and it looks like they're going to take a timeout most likely and figure out what the hell they're going to do. They're probably going to pull field goal unit out. I imagine that's a chip shot right there. Do you chance taking the field goal to win the game?
It's not a given. You know what I'm saying? Is it likely? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's
So just like
right.
eliminated from playoff
Yep.
contention with loss.
You just said it.
Yep.
Eliminated from playoff contention with the loss here. So you can see the look of panic right there if you're looking at the screen.
Kyler Murray's such a good quarterback too.
Yeah. Next score wins here in these overtime rules. The overtime rules are kind of weird to me. where are you at on it?
I mean, that's what I'm used to. To me, I like it. A lot of people are arguing that they like college overtime rules better.
Hmm.
But this is what I'm used to. They're a little strange. Somebody scores a touchdown, game's over. Somebody scores a field goal the other day. It looks like
It's over.
game's over anyways. Chuba Hubbard. Carolina Panthers just spoiled Arizona's year.
Oh, that makes me happy. That makes me happy. 36-30, the Carolina Panthers have eliminated the Arizona Cardinals from any chance of playoff contention. 4-11 now to 7-8 is the record for the Cardinals. That's too bad for Arizona, but listen, at the end of the day, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Well, you are a Carolina fan. It's not like Arizona was going to be doing a whole lot this year anyways.
Right.
So have we set a record today?
We are at 3 hours.
This is
and
officially
45.
the longest podcast ever on the PFC network.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. It has.
We're setting records all around.
We really are. We're
Lions are setting records. We're setting records.
the longest episode in the history of the PFC Entertainment Network will be actually in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So the 3:45 mark will mark it. And this is like 5 and 4, 3, 2, 1. Longest episode in PFC history right now. So with that, we'll go ahead and start winding this bitch down. And be sure to check us out next Monday night, December the 30th, 8 p.m. Lightning Rounds in Lapeer, Michigan. Come on out a little bit early. Tim and I will be there around the 7 o'clock hour. You can meet with us. You can sit down. We'll have a beer. We'll get ready for the show. You can be a part of the show as we break down Monday Night Football, where the Lions will be traveling to San Francisco and, well, Santa Clara, as it were,
Yeah.
Levi Stadium to play the 49ers. For all the latest information on this show and all the great shows on the network, tune in to pfcnetwork.net. With that, we appreciate you tuning in. Congratulations to the Detroit Lions on a big win here over the Chicago Bears.
Well, and congratulations to the Chiefs this week.
And congratulations to the Chiefs this week. Absolutely. And as well as the Carolina Panthers, who just
And the Washington Commanders.
and the Washington Commanders. So the rest of the league can fuck off, and we'll see you next week here on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment
Go
Network.
Chiefs, go Lions. Oh, am I fully uploaded?
There
Is
you
this
go.
fully uploaded? Is the other one fully uploaded?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that was cool.
That was cool. That was a lot of fun. It makes me feel good about our live podcast coming up next week because I didn't know how it was gonna play out. Like, are we gonna be able to talk for that long? Fill enough information with shit? Like, that went really well. So we just went 3 hours and 46 minutes by the time it was done.